Alright, we're streaming, we're recording. There's a guy killing himself on screen. Okay, that's cool.
That's what you want.
Okay, Q&A streams live right now. Put in stream announcements. I don't think I'm gonna at everyone or at here or anything like that. Seriously, this guy is a bot. Mecha Leon, man.
Yeah, he's a bot for everything.
And impatient on chat too. Alright, there we go. Alright. Is anybody here or is chat bugged or what? Okay, it's live. I can see it. Alright, so let me pull on. There we go. Someone's there. The Lucid streamer. With a coin. Alright, there we go. Okay, I can click down here for when we want questions. And I need to refresh here. Can you reach out okay?
Kind of. I'm going to come be slightly closer to you.
Ilsaroth is not here, and he's definitely not responding. I need to mod Ilsaroth. Mod Ilsaroth.
Oh, Pedro's here too.
There you go. Ilsaroth is now mod.
Congrats.
Slurp, slurp. That's such a high honor, right?
I know.
That's such a high honor. Thank you to Rusherhead, Gilnorg, BTG99, Aussie, Fasto09, Danced Field, Lucid Streamer, N Zins, and Matt Darian for the subs while the stream was down. Thank you very much. Hopefully you will hear this in some way. Maybe not. These VODs probably aren't the most popular ones, so maybe you won't.
Here, so someone of that heard.
But thank you for the resubs. Hey Lucid, how's it going? Thank you for sticking around in Monkey Town. Alright, so I need to level up the passive skill tree. I think I've gone down and got Trickery. Let's see. Yeah, I went down and got Trickery, and I've gone down and I've gotten Retribution, and I need to go down from Retribution and get Lighted Divinity and Holy Dominion. Do I need to go up anywhere? Not yet, so that's what I'm going to go get. I want to get Lighted Divinity and Holy Dominion. I want to go down with the reds for these. I think that's it. Life, Discipline Training, Elemental Damage, Lighted Divinity, and Holy Dominion. That's it, yep. And so I confirm. Alright, I have 3 points left, so I need to pull up the Act 4 skill tree. I am using a guide for this because the skill tree in Path of Exile is just insane. Yeah, so we played this for a couple streams, and the response at first was quite positive, but then people got bored because I don't know what I'm doing, and it's really kind of dull watching someone just play a guide through a game like this. So yeah, so this is kind of a game that's very easy to play when you're leveling, so at least I hope so. So we're just going to keep this on while we do the Q&As and see how it goes. Maybe we'll do some more streams of this when I know what I'm doing a little better. Alright, so I need to go up and get a jewel socket, or I can go down and get coordination. I'm going to get both of these anyway. So I can go from Arcanist Dominion up to Intelligence, and the jewel socket. Let's see. Up to this jewel socket here, I believe. Let me double check. Yep. If you want to know what build I'm doing, I am following this one, and I will put it on chat right now. Path of Exile on their forums. If you are watching on YouTube, and obviously you can't see the link in chat, it is view thread 1147951. 1147951, and it is Enki's or Enkai's Arc Witch. That's what I'm following. How's it going, Minodev? Alright, so we're gonna wait for just a little bit for people to get here if they're going to be joining the stream today, and then we will start answering questions on Patreon. We need to really focus on Patreon questions because this is probably the last night that we can do this, I think, or it's going to be difficult, right? So we'll see how it goes. I So Cried has used 1,000 bits for hi. This is a thank you for the Grease upload. I love that game. Well, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for the bits. That was a good experience. I liked it. It had some problems, obviously. Not every game's gonna have a problem, but I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Yeah, I was very happy that I was able to enjoy that as much as I did because I had a I was worried that I wasn't going to. But I did, so I'm happy.
I know jack shit about this game, but Q&As are the best streams, so here I am.
Are they the best streams? I don't know about that, but thanks. Is it because Lily's here?
Obviously.
Lily streams?
Lily streams are good streams. Maybe not the best streams, but you know, we have fun, don't we? We have lots of fun.
If you are a big fan of this game and you are watching the VOD, or if you're going to be here for the whole stream, I'm going to probably make some very poor decisions when it comes to disenchanting loot and stuff. Because I'm going to be focused on answering the questions, I'm probably just going to be like, I have items already that I'm looking at and I'm like, that might be good. I have no idea. I'm just going to throw it in for now and see what happens, and I'll check it later, if at all. Let's be honest. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I need more Scroll of Wisdoms, and I think I want to hand in Whetstones for that. Let's see.
Hey Carlos, how are you?
Hey Carlos. Or Armor Scraps.
Lots of lovely lilies. Thank you to Vertigo 9000 who resubscribed for 16 months.
Vertigo 5000?
Yes, 9,000, not 5,000.
Thank you very much, Vertigo 9000. Oh wow, that's a lot of bits. Holy crap. Thank you very much, Vertigo 9000. Thank you. Thank you for sticking around in Monkey Town, and thank you, Hot Ironclad, for 2,750 bits. That is a lot of bits. Thank you so much. Ayo, bruh, when you gonna play that Obra Dinn, dog? Also, hope you have a good one, and Lily too. I am gonna play Obra Dinn. Right now, I am in Fallout 76 Hell. I actually considered doing video editing live on stream tonight while we're answering these questions. That's how much I'm in Fallout 76 Hell at the moment. Yeah, I'm eating a lot of shit on getting that done. So once that's done, there's a bunch of games that I want to play some more. I want to play more Into the Breach. I want to play Return of Obra Dinn. There's one more I can't think of right now. I want to finish Below, and there's a secret game as well that I'm trying to get videos done on at the moment, including the 2018 best of list, and that's of course not including the big thing, which I'm not going to talk about. So yeah, I think after I play Obra Dinn on my own, I don't want to play that blind on stream. I might play it for a stream, just so there is a stream of it and we can experience it together. But I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to play that live on stream the first time, because I say this, but we did okay with Into the Breach, so maybe it'll be fine. But usually it's not a good time for me when I have to play those sorts of games on stream. I dance with Sans, I'm gonna have a bad time.
To go wherever the winds blow him.
That sucks. How's the sound, by the way? Is the sound okay? Is it too quiet, too loud? I don't have my headphones on because this is a Q&A stream, so I just want to make sure it's okay. Oh man, I don't know what's going on. It's like kind of half hiccups or something. Hey Joe, what kind of Monkey Town do you use? Also, as an audio engineer, I must judge your choice. You know what? If you are an audio engineer, or if anyone else who knows who's listening, if you have a way better setup that you can recommend for me, please do so. I am in the market to upgrade. I have an Audio Technica 2050, 2070, 2150, something like that. Let me look and see if I can find it. It looks like a 2050 to me, or a 2035. It's one of those into a Focusrite Scarlett something 2. Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. I think that's it. Yeah, 2i2. That's what I use. If you have a better one, and I'm willing to spend some paper to get a better one. Yeah. I think it's okay, but it might be the room I'm in has the echo. But sometimes I feel like I sound really good on some videos and some streams, and other times I feel like I'm in a cave. So, I don't know. I have no idea. I started Oberdin yesterday, and I don't think it's meant to be played a second time. I mean, if you know who everybody is, what's the point? Well, it would be like a we're playing it as a sort of like a walkthrough. Here's what this game is all about, sort of thing, and I could talk about it as we go. But you might be right. It might not be a good stream. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it's a game that I just have to turn chat off and play. I mean, I am in a cave, a dragon cave. Sup, Mr. Jojo, been catching up on your VODs. Glad to see you seem to enjoy Into the Breach. I really enjoyed Into the Breach. I've enjoyed Into the Breach so much, I've wanted to play it today. And after we were done streaming yesterday, I wanted to play it more. It was, like, really, really want to play it. And, like, it's, no, you have to fucking do Fallout 76 work, you know? Like, it's been, like, I really wanted to play it more. Yeah. Really, really cool. I'm surprised by how good it is. And I don't want to... I say that and I feel like I'm becoming across as insulting because it's like I'm surprised by how good it is. Of course, it's a very highly regarded game, but so are games like XCOM, and I don't like XCOM. I don't like tactical... I don't like turn-based combat at all. And I don't like tactical RPGs because when tactical turn-based combat, because when I've played them in the past, they are usually either boring or reliant on RNG or both, and that isn't the case in Into the Breach. So I've taken to it quite strongly, and that's why I'm surprised, because I was expecting it to be RNG. I was expecting it to be kind of like a pixel XCOM, and it's not. It's like single-player chess, and I don't know if I've said this on stream before, but when I was a teenager, I was a chess champion because I was just that fucking cool. So I played quite a lot of chess when I was a teenager, and I really miss it. So I really enjoy Into the Breach.
Thank you to Parslow195 who resubscribed for 6 months and says good luck with the Q&A. Cannot wait for the videos.
Thank you very much, Parslow195. Thank you. Yeah, I think there's gonna be 2 videos. I'm still really okay. So here's the problem. I'm close to done. Fallout 76. It's gonna be up very soon, and the problem is that I can't decide 2 things. The first one is I can't decide if I want to if I do want to split the videos into 2, or if I just want to combine them together. And what I could do is that I have about 20 to 30 minutes of talking points about the game itself, and I can intersperse the best glitches between those talking points as kind of like an extended intermission between them all. However, if I do that, I'm gonna have to let a lot of them go, and I really want to hit hard how poor the state of the game is. So that's the advantage of doing a separate video, because I can just go balls to the wall and show as many as I want. But that's the other problem. Can I really show as many as I want? Because if I show all of them, all the bugs that I think are worth showing, I think the video is going to be 3 hours. So this is still not like God of War 3 hours, because as I'm finding the bugs in my footage, like I made a list of notes when I played the game, and sometimes I would end a recording at a really bad glitch. So as I'm going through and I'm compiling all of the bugs that I found, it's taking me about a minute to 10 minutes, depending on how dense the footage is, to go through an hour. So I played the game for almost 100 hours. So I could, once that's done, it's done. You know, the video is compiled. I need to tweak it and you know, make sure that I'm showing the exact things I want to show. But like, the video is done, you know, once I've found them all. So it's a not like God of War, and I just have to sit there and just talk for 3 hours as the video plays, and I'm kind of like a director's commentary, like, so here's what I was doing when this one happened, and as you can see, this is what happened, and then we move on to the other one, and then there are probably parts where I'm playing with Mandalore that I'll just let the audio play by itself as we're talking about it live as it's going on. And I don't know if that's if I should just say, hey, it's 3 hours, here you go, or if I should try and curate it to about an hour instead. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still kicking around the idea. I don't know if people are going to want to watch 3 hours of that, but I guess they can just decide not to, right? There's just so many bugs. Like, there's so many bugs. Like, you have a camp in Fallout 76, and you put the camp down, and you make workshops around your camp, and you can move the camp anywhere. You can pack it up, and all the buildings you build in your camp go into like this TARDIS style box that has like Mary Poppins' bag, you know, like it just all goes in, and there's just, you know, unlimited stuff, unlimited space in there for all the workshops that you have. Well, virtually unlimited. And there was a bug that I found, that I encountered early on, that I noticed, and it kind of made me go, what? Was that when I first made my camp, I made a couple stash boxes, a cooking fire pit, a armory workshop, one for weapons, a chemistry workstation. I made all the main workstations, and that was it. And then I packed up my camp and I moved it, and then when I put it down again, now I had 2 cooking pits, 2 armor workshops, 2 weapon benches, and my few stashes, I think I had 3 or 4, had now become like 6 to 8. So I'm like, what the hell? So I put those down, so now I have 2 cooking pits, and I played the game, and hours later I moved my camp again, and now I had 4 cooking pits, and 4 armor workbenches, and 4 weapon benches, and I just kept doing this with the cooking pits, and every single time I moved my camp, it doubled. So just showing that alone on the screen, which I think is a hilarious bug, like I think at the end, before they finally did fix it and I just gave up on putting them down, I think I had like almost 400 cooking pits that I was putting down every single time, like crashing the server, putting all these cooking pits down. Just showing that in the video, which I think absolutely does need to be shown because it's fucking hilarious, is probably going to take at least 5 minutes. You know, like showing each set, explaining what's happening. You know, like it's how does that get into the game? How? Like, you know, so that's not even the best bug. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll just put it all in and see. Maybe this will be a really indulgent video, and we'll see if people like it or not. I have a tower, a leaning tower of stash boxes in my campsites. Just insane. Just insane. And then there's the bear. Oh, the bear was good. The bear was good. Anyway, I'm blabbing, and we should continue the Q&A. Thank you, Z Celta, for the new sub with Prime. Welcome to Monkey Town. If anyone doesn't know, if they haven't caught a stream during the day when Finn has showed up and we've had a Fintermission, Finn calls microphones Monkey Towns, so that's kind of just become a joke where we say welcome to Monkey Town. That's how he says it. And it's adorable. So yeah, if you haven't been to a Patreon Q&A thing before, what we're going to do is we're going to take questions from chat every so often, but mostly we take questions from patrons that have put them on the site ahead of time. This is December's, and it's really late. because we're having more and more trouble lately finding the time at night to do these. This might be the last time that we do it as a stream. If it isn't, then the one after this is almost certainly going to be the last one. So, yeah, sorry about that. There are probably going to be recordings that I do during the day, or I do them solo at night without Lily, because it's going to be too difficult with the new baby coming and Finn and Leo switching over from sleeping in a crib to beds next month. So there's a lot going on, unfortunately. So yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so let's go to the first Patreon question.
Let's just quickly say thank you to Dean Trucking, who subscribed for 2 months. Because we're going to be answering questions for a while and we'll miss him.
Sure. Thank you, Dean Trucking. Thank you very much. Do you want to give him a claw fist?
Claw fist.
Claw fist.
Sorry, that was a half-assed claw fist.
It really was. I was debating whether I was going to say it or not.
Claw fist.
Fist like you mean it, right?
It's been a long time since I did a claw fist. Look, if you're gonna do it, use your whole ass, right?
Mm-hmm. Your whole ass.
Don't half-ass it.
You don't half-ass a fist?
No.
No? You whole ass the fist? I think it's more that you fist the whole ass, isn't it? Okay, anyway.
Good questions.
Let's go to the questions. Why are you laughing? It's not funny.
No reason.
Alright, so Me Levies is the first person. We're halfway through the list already. We're on page 13 of 28, so take it away, Lily Bell.
Malevi says, "Hi Joe and Lily. First off, as always, I'm German, so I'm very sorry if my grammar isn't that good. So far, so good. My first question is a bit personal, but I hope you don't mind. We discussed the whole subjectivity thing on Discord, and at last I wrote about how, since the impressions you gave through your other videos seems very objective and technical driven, figuring out the fighting system and Breath of the Wild would be an example. Personal topic videos might always spark controversy. Do you agree with that statement, and if yes, will you try to adapt to this part of the audience, or just do your thing?"
If you had asked beforehand, I would have said I don't agree. That it's clear that okay, so there is quite a bit of objectivity in the videos, and this is where it gets a little difficult for some people to really understand if they're not fully familiar with what objective and subjective mean, and they're not really familiar with the common arguments that spawn around when people debate subjective and objective. There are objective things in the videos, and you pointed one out, like how does the fighting system in Breath of the Wild work? How many puzzle panels are in The Witness? How many characters are there in Darkest Dungeon? How many dungeons are there in Darkest Dungeon? These are objective things, and you can make objective measurements about them. But when you start getting into, I think this is good, I think that the fighting system is good, or I think it's bad, I think this is an effective fighting system, I think that the amount of puzzle panels, holy crap, in The Witness are a good number or a bad number, then it's no longer objective and everything is subjective. And I think that if you don't, like I said, if you don't really follow objectivity and subjectivity, and to be clear, I'm not saying that you don't, I'm just giving a kind of a broad answer before, a broad explanation before I answer the point. You might not realize that it's the opinion and the quality judgment that matters a little bit more in the videos than, hey, this is how this works, you know? There's still a lot of value in going into those sorts of things, especially the Breath of the Wild fighting system. Not a lot of other YouTubers actually go that far and do that, you know? And I think that's part of what makes the videos that I make stand out a little bit. I don't necessarily always do a good job with it, but I try to do that. I did it in God of War. It's actually quite difficult to properly get, and usually it takes a lot of testing, and it definitely wasn't an area that I was comfortable with. I think Dragon's Dogma was the first time that I really, really went into it, and I thought that it helped the video so much that I've been trying to do it more ever since, even though it is so difficult. So I thought it was really obvious that there's a difference between that objective side of the videos and then the subjective side that is all about how well it works rather than how it works. And I would have said to you before the video, the horror game video, that no, everyone's gonna understand, and clearly no, that's not the case. So now I have to agree with you that there are a lot of problems, and I have to change things in order for those videos going forward. I don't know if there's going to be a lot more videos like that, not because of what happened in response to that one, but because that isn't something that I do very often. Even the shorter videos that I'm making right now, I think there's only one more that is possibly like that, and that might not even get made. Whereas the shorter videos that I just did on Ashen, or shorter style videos like I did on Ashen, are the ones that I would prefer to do, for sure. So, I don't know, it's...
I hope this one can tell us something.
When there's a significant portion of your audience that doesn't like something that you're doing, or isn't following along with you, or are coming along and saying, hey, this is a big issue, it is almost always the creator's fault. The creator has done something wrong. And in the case of the horror game video, that's probably because I didn't explain myself enough. The video was too short, which is something I think we might talk about later in an answer to another question, which is that, a common criticism I get on my videos is that they're too long, and I go into too much detail on a lot of the points and I don't need it. And yet now we have these shorter videos, and even on the Ashen video, the biggest criticism I'm seeing is that it was too short. And I didn't go into enough detail, and that's happened on the Subnautica thing too. So that's probably the problem with the horror game video, that it needed an extra 10 minutes or so. I don't know. At the same time, though, I feel like a lot of people who responded to that video poorly didn't watch past the 6 or 7 minute mark, where I think that's where I say it. About permadeath, and don't hear the rest of the suggestions that come on after that, or the rest of the proposals about horror games after that. But I don't know. But that's still my fault, because I should have made it so there wasn't something that was really controversial enough to make people stop watching the video. Maybe. Actually, I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true or not. But when it comes to subjectivity is implied, at the risk of sounding really, really, really dismissive, that one is one of the rare cases where it's not my fault as the creator. That's just something that's wrong with a lot of online discussions and a lot of how we speak about art. And the fact that there is a backlash to that just shows that the video was necessary, which is both good and bad. It's good that I didn't waste my time making it. Like, a lot of people said to me when I was making that video, this is a complete waste of time. When the script went up on Patreon, there was at least a couple people that said, hey, this is just like, why are you even bothering? This is obvious stuff. Like, this is not something that needs to be said. And it turns out that it really does need to be said. And there have been many people that have been surprised as well by how the response to that was, well, of course you can be objective. Of course you can be objective. Yeah, I don't know. I think that I say the in my opinion and in my view enough in a lot of the older videos, and after hearing some response from Dark Souls, the first Dark Souls video, I was consciously trying to do it more in order to avoid that problem. I distinctly remember being told that I was presenting my opinions as objective fact too strongly about the Hellkite Drake in a Reddit comment. I was talking to somebody, first video, on, I think, what's the, Ludology, that's it, that's the subreddit, Ludology. There was a comment on that, and I was talking to somebody, and he was saying, like, you're trying to pass off what you're saying as objective, and so that's like literally first video I ever made. And so I tried to make a better effort right from the get-go. I don't know. I don't know if I was successful or not. Probably not. I don't know. I'm in the middle of a boss right now, and I want to read the question again, so let's just die. Yeah, so yeah, you're definitely right that personal topics are going to be treated as different from the rest of them by most of the audience, and I think the solution is probably just to not really do many of those types of videos and try to be a little more accommodating if I ever do that sort of thing, but not in a Paw Patrol sort of way, but in a good sort of way. Yeah, I think that you should always try to do better no matter what, even if you don't think it's fair, and that you shouldn't have to. It's a lesson that I've learned more and more as I've gotten older, that this idea that I shouldn't have to do that, that's not good enough. Like, that's not a good reason. Even though it may be fair, or may not be fair depending on how on the situation. Even though it may not be fair, and you might be 110% right that you shouldn't have to do this, you still should. And that's been a lesson that I've had to learn quite a lot, and still learning it and still trying to. Anyway, go ahead, Lily.
My second question is more straightforward. Do you think that playing devil's advocate is inherently connected to believing relating to that side of the argument at least a bit? I ask this because last time I argued with you, you asked me a question that led me to believe that you do think this way, but I want to double check and not just assume. I personally disagree, but I'd love to hear your take on this. Also, I like the Ashen script. Keep up the good work. Much love from Germany.
Thanks. The Ashen video was fun to put together. It's also one of the rare ones that I played that game pretty much exclusively on stream, and there didn't seem to be much problem from people who were annoyed that that was the case. So it was good to get that video. It was enjoyable to make for sure. So I. Okay, how can I say this without potentially opening myself as being accused of being like a Nazi sympathizer or something? I think that humans are capable of relating or believing anything. Period. Even the most heinous, awful thing that you can think of. I think that we are complex enough creatures that we are capable of adopting that kind of idea and thinking about it from the perspective of whoever has that without agreeing with it at all. Maybe I'm off there, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I have maybe too much faith or not enough faith at all. In people, I don't know what's correct there. Maybe Lily wants to chime in on this one. I don't know, but I think that you are able to suspend your own perspective, not completely, of course, that's impossible, but you can suspend it enough that you can emulate a thought process and a perspective that is completely alien to yours, at least enough to argue through devil's advocate. That's what I think. And I don't think this is a bad thing. I think this is actually a really, really good thing. And I think that's part of what makes us uniquely human, that or like the unique creatures that we are on this planet, that we are able to entertain these crazy, crazy thoughts that don't always go anywhere, but we can still do it a little bit. And yeah. I don't know. Am I off here? Do you agree?
I agree with you.
You agree?
I think there's many reasons for it. You know, someone might be less confident in their opinions, or they may be kind of lured in, you know, degree by degree by degree, and not even really know what they're opening themselves up to. But the result would be the same, right? Is and I think it's totally possible to kind of put your thought process on hold in a way and entertain the other side. And sometimes you'll wind up agreeing, and other times you won't. But sometimes you'll get kind of swept into it as well. I'm bad for that a lot. I'm not a very good person for arguing and discussion and stuff like that, because I'm always kind of open to seeing the other side. So I'm one of those annoying people who's like, oh, you're right. Oh, no, you're right. Oh, yeah, I see your point. Oh, and I see your point. And now I don't know what I think anymore because you're all right. And now I need to go away for a while and think about this. So, yeah, I agree, because I can relate to that.
So not a Nazi?
I don't think you're not. I wasn't there, okay, when all of that went down. I wasn't born, so I don't know. I'm sure there have been people, many people, just like that, who, got swept up in things, right, over the years. Like, look at the witchcraft hysteria and everything too. People who might not have believed in witches, and they were right there throwing the stones, so.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at it now and we go, how the hell could that have ever happened? How did so many people die? How were so many people tortured? How did people die in their cells? They were drowning them and saying, oh, well, if you don't drown, if you're not a witch, but if you drown, you're a witch. And oh, look, she drowned, so I guess she couldn't breathe underwater. Oops, my bad. And we look at that and say, what the hell was going on? Who was in charge of this? And how did so many people just stand by and let it happen? And it happened in many countries around the world. Mass European and American hysteria and everything, so.
Cats and dogs living together? Mass hysteria?
I think it's very possible to get swept up in something like that if it happens gradually and you're not totally aware of where it's going, and by the time maybe you are aware, it's too late to backtrack, So I totally see where you can entertain something you don't agree with.
Well, you can entertain something that you can entertain insane thoughts too. It's another part of us. I'm going to talk a little bit about this later because someone asked about the *Sapiens* book, and I think they talk about this in *Sapiens* about intrusive thoughts and how we have this creative spark in us as humans that separates us from the other animals that we now have we've completely subjugated on the planet. And that is that we can look at things and have these really, really crazy, nonsensical conclusions, and sometimes they can work. I think he speaks in the book about how we created fire and how there's a lot of things and a lot of technology that we take for granted now that were really difficult for the first person to discover them and the first people to discover them, because they required this insane leap of intrusive thought. Hey, why don't you try doing that? And most of the time you just ignore it, but then there are a couple of few who did it, and most of the time it did nothing or maybe even hurt them, but then sometimes it resulted in, hey, now we can do this, now we know about that, and those
for all
built in.
inventors, though, couldn't you?
Yeah,
and all the people who invented medicine and the people who invented tools and electricity and the computer that you're playing on.
I don't know about that. You are right in
everyone had to fail at it, though, and everyone someone had to have a breakthrough at some point, right? And
the
before
idea is
that,
sound.
it might have seemed impossible.
But after a certain point, I don't know when it became less about like scientific method. Probably, or I think I can't. It says in the book. I can't remember most of the book now. Because I remember reading that question, I was like, oh, what should I talk about? And I realized that I've forgotten half of the book because how I read it. But it's a very dense book in my defense. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Yeah. Intrusive thoughts are really interesting to me. And there's also the ability that we have to hold conflicting perspectives in our head that are like literally the opposites of each other. I mean, literally. There are a lot of people that I've met that will honestly tell you one day that they are very shy and reserved and don't like being the center of attention, or are very introverted, and then the next day or like a week later, they will just as honestly and not realize that there's anything wrong with it tell like, oh, I'm so outgoing, I'm so fun, I'm such an extrovert, I really like being the center of attention. And they don't, and it's not that they're bad for being this way, it's just part of being a human. It's that you can really have these conflicting viewpoints even about yourself in your head, and it's normal. Just like it's normal to be standing on a subway platform and think as the train's coming, what if I jumped? What would happen if I pushed this old lady onto the tracks right now? Like that is a normal thought. You won't do it, and most people don't. Like 1 in a million, I guess, is gonna entertain these intrusive thoughts. But yeah, it's something that you have.
Well, look at you. You'll see so many like true crime things, stories and stuff like that, and you'll have these people who commit these mass murders and stuff like that, and they're always described as being very introverted and quiet and shy and not attention seeking, and then they go and do something that is so attention seeking and so kind of out of character in a way that you would think that they wouldn't do that, but then they did. So that's kind of what you're saying about
Much clatter.
having maybe two different versions of who we are in our minds that we hold. We hold different roles too, right? Like who you are with your parents, and who you are with your boyfriend, and who you are with your kids and your friends, and you're very different, with all these different people. There's different sides of you that come out.
You have a different mask for every person. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think that's part of entertaining some perspectives that you may not agree with. I think it's a really good thing if you can play devil's advocate. And I think one part of the that they recommend when it comes to debating topics is that you should, at some point, if you're not getting anywhere, and this is very hard to do because most people won't argue in good faith anymore, but if you can get someone to do this, like it's great, and that is that you switch sides. You honestly switch sides and you start arguing the other person's point to them, and I think that usually leads to a deeper understanding for both of you on both sides of where they're coming from. Because the whole point of debate, and this is why the big televised debates don't usually go anywhere and are kind of boring for me. YouTube debates and debates on stage. Bill Nye the Science Guy debates some religious guy, or Christopher Hitchens debates some reverend. It's no one's changing their mind on that stage, and that means it's not really a debate, it's entertainment. There might be people that change their mind in the audience. It's probably quite rare, but it's still going to happen. They're not really arguing in good faith, they're just kind of smashing points together and having fun and entertaining the audience. The real end of debate should be that both sides are trying to understand the other more, and it should lead to a conclusion that is a compromise, or if one side benevolently wins over the other side, that someone changes their mind and is convinced. That's what it should be. It should be an increase of knowledge on both sides of the table. Yeah. But that's all I can say for that. Thank you, Levis. We'll go to one question from chat if someone has one.
And also thank the water guy who used one bit and says, "Take my fucking money, you coward."
Okay.
So, we'll follow up that seriousness with the water guy. And thank you to Slice919 who resubscribed for 16 months and says, "Gamers."
Thank you, Slice919. Gamers, right back at you. Bible.
Thank you to Nazarald who used 100 bits and says, "Congrats on Uncharted series vids being the second vid to pass 2 million views."
Okay, I don't want to humble brag, but it's actually the third one. Sorry. I know that's crazy,
and
humble bragging.
He also says late nights with Joe and Lily are worth late nights.
Actually, maybe it's not even humble bragging. Maybe it's just bragging. They're worth late nights, are they? Thank you, Nozerel. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the Uncharted Last of Us video. It just suddenly started getting recommended by the YouTube algorithm, and it's gained its second million views way faster than it did its first million. Yeah, Yeah, Fallout 4 1 year later is at almost 2.7 million. Witness is at 2.4, and Uncharted and Last of Us just broke 2 million the other night, I think. Yeah, so that just keeps getting recommended to people, and a lot of people are watching it. I think there's a lot of people watching it right now. Yeah, there are 750 people watching that right now, and 15,000 people will watch it in the next 24 hours. So yeah, that's really good. That's really good. And that video sucked when it first came out. The video itself is fine for what it is. It's a little boring because for some people who play the games, because it is it's a watchable plot synopsis. That's what it says at the beginning. That's what it's for. But at the same time, it didn't do all that well when it first came out. It didn't get a lot of attention. So it's weird to see that do so well now. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's go to the next person on Patreon.
A woman like us.
It
and yet
is
nothing like
Irvin.
us.
So let me update
While
this
we
thing
cloak
here.
ourselves in tradition and war, you cloak yourself in thaumaturgy and fear.
Irvin.
And
And let me
that
just
is
check.
why
Yeah,
you
there we go.
will kill
Sorry,
the
there's a
beast
bunch of
within
white
the
space.
mountain.
Some of the names are longer than
Lady
others, and I don't
Diana
want to
has
tweak it for
told
every
me
single
this.
one. So
She
I hope
has
that's
much faith
acceptable.
in
It's
you,
going to help me a
Witch.
lot when
The
it comes to
question
putting
is,
putting it up on
Marraketh share in her faith?
on YouTube. I'm really behind doing that at the
Sakana
moment.
Deshret
I need to do a lot of rendering. I'm probably going to get a new machine. And then put this GPU in a different computer, and the old computer, and then I'll have 2 rendering machines and a backup. And I think that's pretty good. Probably overkill actually, but yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Lily. Sorry about that.
Hey Joe and Lily, hope everything is going alright. I'm really enjoying the fact that your streams are shorter and easier to keep up with now that you're on break from Japanese games. I'm considering these to be my 2 questions, but you don't have to approach them separately if you want. I vaguely remember that Shigeru Miyamoto
He's the guy that made Mario.
once said something to the effect of, good game design gives the player the illusion of choice. They think they're making their own decisions, but are really being guided by the designer. That's not a direct quote, but I can't find where I've heard it before. This design philosophy is especially strong in Ocarina of Time, and Zelda games didn't really try to deviate from it until Link Between Worlds and its item mechanic. So the first question is, given your views on what constitutes good game design, what's your opinion on this design mindset? Have you seen this done well before, or does this trick not work on you anymore?
So it's definitely a good goal to have, and I was thinking about games a long time before I started the channel. Not nearly as deep as I realized I could have been. Watching videos from Mr. Bitong and Matthew Matosis was really like a revelation or revelationary experience. Can you say revelationary? Is that a word? Revelationary?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's maybe there's a different word for it. And that you could really dig deep into games. I didn't really take it that far until then. But I was thinking about games before that that give you this illusion of doing some really cool thing. Whoa, what's going on here? Okay, I fixed it. Giving you the illusion of doing these really cool things when in fact you're just really following a script, and that if the game could pull it off really well, that you could give this very movie-like experience, a very cinematic experience, like you're playing a character in a movie, and not really realize it and have a really compelling time if it was done well enough. And then I played the Uncharted series all the way through, and it was like, oh, someone's already done it, and it was like, okay, cool. And that's what I really look at, or that's what I think of when I think of your question. But I think that's too narrow a way of taking it. So there are plenty of games that are nowhere near as linear or focused as Uncharted, that still have this sort of thing. But if you take the question too broadly, or take the idea too broadly, it can start to get really weird, because in a way, except for, you know, some emergent gameplay or stuff where you're playing a sandbox, if you can do something in a game, it means that a designer has put it in there. You know what I mean? Like, in almost every case, there aren't really that many accidents that are really, really substantial. So it really depends on how broad you want to take that idea of giving the player the illusion that they're doing something cool when they're really, really not. I think that I'm not the biggest fan of it anymore, and I don't think Ocarina of Time style games will really are as enjoyable as what they did with Breath of the Wild, although I do want them to return to some of the Ocarina style ways in terms of dungeons and everything. But I think that if you mix Breath of the Wild's creativity and openness with the tools and the dungeons, with more open layouts in the dungeons, that you can make something really, really fantastic by mixing the strengths of both of the versions of Zelda. Yeah, I really don't like it when I can get a sense that I'm being nudged into thinking I'm having a good time and thinking that, hey, this is going really, really well and I'm being really creative, and then there's a little kind of like, oh, okay, this was planned all along. There are these, an example is, and sorry I guess I'm thinking about these series because you use the example of Miyamoto. In Odyssey, there were many areas that are extremely difficult to get to in Odyssey. There's one in the Desert Temple that requires some really, really difficult hat jumps and wall kicks to get up there. And you, as you're doing it, you really, really do feel like you're going out of bounds and you're breaking the game. And then you go up there and there are some coins. And it's like, oh, so this isn't really me doing something cool and breaking and being really creative, and I should feel like I accomplished something getting up here. The game knew I could get up here, and it even put a couple of coins to tell me that, hey, here's a little reward and a little wink from the game developers that, hey, you can get up here, and we anticipated that. Now, some people might actually really like that there are some coins up there. They might go up there and there's some coins, like, oh shit, they knew I would get up here, that's great. And that's completely valid. But for me, it was kind of like, oh, I'm not doing anything really that wacky here at all that I think I am. Yeah. I think that sometimes freedom can be overvalued, and there's strength in just allowing the developer to be like, I want you to do the game this way. I want you to do this fight right now in this sort of way, and we're just going to really test your execution of this idea that is the only way that you can do it. And if the game just embraces that and fully commits to that sort of thing, I think it can be fantastic. And games shouldn't always try to give you this illusion that you are on your own script, when in reality, in almost all cases, you never really are. And I think that when a lot of games try to make you feel that way, that they dilute the experience that they could go for. It's like sort of like let's talk about Dark Souls. So in Dark Souls, there are a lot of weapons and there are a lot of different ways that you can approach combat fights. Bosses. There's a lot of ways you can approach bosses. So you can use a shield, you can use magic, you can use dodge rolls, you can use big weapons, small weapons, fast casting spells, slow casting spells, you can use range weapons. There's a lot of different ways that you can approach these bosses, and Dark Souls can get a little boring after you've played a lot of those games, because there's only so many different types of bosses that you can design with that amount of freedom before some of them are going to break. And some of them do break, and in Dark Souls 3, I think particularly, magic is kind of useless, right? I haven't done a magic build in Dark Souls 3, but people tell me that magic is kind of useless in Dark Souls 3. Now, they still kind of cater to the magic side of it, whereas if you only had 1 or 2 different options in the game, even though you're more limited, it can make encounter variety much higher because you know every single time that the player has this specific tool set and you can challenge them in different ways. So even though Dark Souls has all those options and all those offensive moves and defensive moves and spells and character building and all this stuff, you will find more gameplay variety in Celeste. You will find more gameplay variety in Super Meat Boy. Because they can build the levels and the dangers around you having this very, very limited moveset compared to what all the options are in Dark Souls. Because they're expecting you to do things in a specific way. And even then, in Super Meat Boy and Celeste, you can still be creative. You can still have different options. And I don't know, as time goes on, I'm noticing that I wish more games would give me fewer options so they can test me in a larger variety of ways. I'm wishing that more games were like Celeste and were less like Dark Souls with its myriad of options. That's how I feel. There's another game that I'm trying to think of, and I can't think of it now. I don't know. What was the second part of the question? Maybe it's linked to that.
And more broadly, are there any kinds of game design concepts like the above that you've grown to like or hate over time? Thanks for indulging these regular game design questions each month. Hope you're having a good holiday season and that your kids enjoyed their presents.
Oh, they really did. Thank you, Irvin. I hope that you did too. And Happy New Year. Yeah, we're as you can tell, we're delayed on answering these. Thank you so much. Any kinds of game design concepts that like the above that you've grown to like or hate over time? I am getting sick of leveling for the sake of leveling, and having to make a bunch of character choices. That, especially when I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to change things later, can I ruin my character, that sort of thing. The only reason why I really like leveling in Soulsborne games is because it makes death have a purpose and impact, that you want to be leveling, you want to have the resources to upgrade your weapons too, and when you die and you can potentially lose their souls, there's a story there. There's a little bit of drama when you're trying to get back to your bloodstain, and I really like that. And I would say that's probably the only reason now why I still enjoy that type of thing. But I still wish that many of the games had a no bullshit option where it just sets you at a level, and every single time you kill a boss, it automatically levels you up, or all the bosses are set to a certain difficulty level, like very hard or as hard as you want, and then you can just play the game without having to do that bullshit. Dark Souls is not too bad at it, but Nioh is awful. Now, here's the problem though. Nioh's loot system may be fun later on. I didn't play it that enough in the DLC and when loot really started to matter. So Nioh system might be really fun, but it's too difficult to know without pouring probably another 50 hours into that game. I might really enjoy the complexity and getting a good loot drop and everything in that game later on. That might add a whole other level of, oh, this is really, really fun. Whereas as I'm playing it and I'm leveling it up, I wish that there was just a no bullshit mode, like I'm saying. So that I'm really starting to get annoyed by that, and just the forced kind of leveling, even though it is fun to have the RPG kind of drip progression out at you. It's good to get powerful, right? But I think it's more fun for the player to get powerful. Is there anything else? Let's see. I really, really hate inventory management, and any game that has inventory management is automatically going to get a big thumbs down from me unless they justify it in a way that makes sense. I hate it. I hate it so much. Fallout 76 was a terrible time having to juggle that inventory. it's never used in a way that makes sense. It never increases the challenge. It never increases the realism. If there was a challenge reason, then there's like half a script I've written on this. A challenge reason for limiting your inventory is to limit your resources, usually in terms of healing. So you can only carry a certain amount of healing around in your inventory, and so you have to balance that, and you have to sacrifice space to be able to carry more healing items. Well, most games that have limited inventory make their potions or their stim packs weigh next to nothing or literally nothing. So it's not really stopping you or having any impact in terms of difficulty, so it should be in terms of realism. Well, most games that have a carry weight aren't realistic at all anyway. Even Subnautica, which is a bit stricter than most, you are still carrying around so much shit that it's impossible, you know? Skyrim's inventory weight is like you're carrying on so many suits of fucking armor and swords before you're over encumbered, and even then you can still move, it's just slower. Yeah, I really hate inventory management, and I would accept it if it was for realism and it was really realistic, or I would accept it if it was for difficulty, sort of like in Resident Evil. I think Resident Evil does it well. Resident Evil 1, I can't remember Resident Evil 7, I think you get a lost space in Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 1 and 2 and 0, I think do it well. You have to really decide what you want to take, what's important, what you're leaving behind. That does it well, I think. So that sort of really, like, commit to it or don't. Like, whole ass, don't half ass it, I think. As for something I'm enjoying a lot lately, probably simple mechanics and simple systems refined really, really well. Those are the games that I'm enjoying a lot more at the moment. So, Celeste, Steven's Sausage Roll, Into the Breach, although I'm not far enough into it yet to really comment on it. Those type of games that aren't afraid to go really deep with their systems, that are fairly easy to understand, but so hard to master. Celeste in particular has a lot of hidden depth to it that that you can do some crazy shit on when you first start playing, but you just aren't good enough yet. It's not that Madeline isn't good enough, the character you are in Celeste. Celeste is the name of the mountain, not the character. It's not that she isn't good enough, it's you're not good enough. You don't know how to do it yet. But if you do and you play that game again for the first time, you can. So yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think I'm enjoying the most lately. Where do I go, chat? I go into the mines? Okay. Yeah, I think that's the answers I have for you, Irvin. Sorry that if I rambled a little bit too much. Thank you for your questions. Let's move on to...
I don't know if they're still here. There was a really sweet comment from Shy PF a while back.
Okay.
They were going to go watch the VOD, but I just want to say I did see it, and thank you very much.
Who? Shy?
Shy PF, I believe.
Shy PF? Thank you very much for the sweet comment. Sorry that I didn't see it.
I didn't want to interrupt Joe. I did see it. I was sitting here reading it when you left it.
Hi, just popping in, but I'm going back to watch the VOD from the beginning. Is Lily there? I just wanted to say her Twitter is very heartwarming and the only reason I ever open Twitter always. Anyways, bye-bye. Aw.
It's very nice.
Aw.
Very nice that they dropped in just to say that, so. I did see it. Thank you. I'm glad someone's enjoying them. I'm not just talking to nobody.
Go back to Act 3 and do the Trials of Ascendancy. Oh, did I miss one? Okay, I'll go back and do that. Meanwhile, Kiefer O.
Did you write it already? Did you put it all up already, Kiefer?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
there
see
it
you
is.
do it.
No, it's okay.
Hey Joe and maybe Lily, happy holidays. What are some of your favorite platforming games? I recently have been playing stuff from that genre quite a bit, and I think
What
it's
do you
slowly
want?
becoming my favorite. Are there any hidden gems that you think don't get enough credit? Since that was sorta a two-parter, here's a super basic one. Coke, Pepsi, RC, or some other cola. Thanks for all the content.
Ooh, Coke all the way. I've never had RC. Have you ever had RC?
No.
I've never had RC. I've had like generic cola and it's usually pretty bad. I'd go Coke then Pepsi. Yeah. I used to enjoy Pepsi a little more than I do now, but I don't really like Pepsi anymore. Soda is my only vice, really. That's the only really big bad habit that I have. Apart from streaming weeb games.
I'm watching you.
Yeah, and I wish I could give it up. I don't drink an absurd amount of soda, but you know, any soda at all is pretty bad for you. But yeah, I really enjoy Coke. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any drugs, but I do drink Coke, unfortunately. And yeah, maybe I shouldn't, but yeah, that's me. That's me. I'll admit it.
We'll just take up some other vices and then we'll let it go.
Yeah. I should start doing heroin for a little bit,
Just yeah.
and then
just to get
go
you away
back
from
to
it.
drink Coca-Cola,
We'll
and I'll
switch
be
to
like,
the other Coke.
and I'll be like, at least I don't do heroin anymore, right? Like that makes
better.
sense. Yeah, exactly. It's all about what's relative, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about what's relative. Anyway, yeah, I think that a hidden gem. I don't think I have any hidden gems of platformers. Sorry. So 2D platformers are a genre that I really like as well. Celeste is absolutely fantastic. Super Meat Boy is really, really good. I would say that I can tell you that Yoshi's Island probably doesn't get enough credit. I know that sounds really dumb considering it's a Nintendo game and it's often very celebrated, but I don't think a lot of people have gone back and played that, and I think it's worth a look if you missed it. Yoshi's Island is probably the best 2D platformer ever, as far as I'm concerned, even though the second-to-second gameplay is probably better in Celeste and Super Meat Boy, but platformers are fantastic. Another one that I think doesn't get enough love, and I might be really off here because I have no idea how much it sold, are the new Rayman games. The new Rayman games are phenomenal. Origins and Legends. I never played a Rayman game before those, and it was like, who gives a shit? It's Rayman. It's some shitty, like, I consider it some like shitty Sony mascot. Who gives a fuck? But like no, like those games are so good, so good. So I highly recommend those if you haven't played those. Did you specifically say 2D platformers or just platformers in general? And favorite platforming games? For recent stuff, like The Messenger is really good too. The best 3D platformer as far as I'm concerned is Super Mario Galaxy 2. It's not even close. There's nothing that comes anywhere near it for me. That is the best one. For second in line is probably Galaxy 1. Odyssey has the best movement in any 3D game, 3D platformer for sure. It has the best camera as well. I spoke about that in the video. The Odyssey has a lot of positives, and if there was a follow-up to Odyssey, if there was an Odyssey 2 that used that movement system that they have in camera, and they took Galaxy 2 level refinement of its levels and its difficulty, that would be number one for me. Yeah, they have to have probably more level variety too, but that comes with Galaxy 2. Yeah, that's the best one. I was really into Banjo-Kazooie when I was a kid, and I tried to play it again recently, and it holds up a little, but it just the tutorials and the slow start and just not that great. I did not like Donkey Kong Country 64. I don't know why. I should really like it, and unfortunately I never played Banjo-Tooie or Conker's Bad Fur Day. I wish I had, but I haven't. Yeah, Banjo-Kazooie was something that I enjoyed a lot more than Mario 64 when I played it for the first time, and then over time I went back to 64, and just the movement and how you can just long jump and dive around levels in 64 just wins it out. It's just like Banjo is just too kind of slow and clunky, and you're constantly doing that move where you're running around on Kazooie's talons, and it makes it faster. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other 2D platformers. If Mega Man counts, Mega Man X is fantastic. 1, 2, and 3, but I don't think that's considered a hidden gem. Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3 were great. Quite difficult now if you go back and play them. Very difficult games. You die in one hit unless you have a buddy. I can't remember if Donkey Kong Country 3 is different. That's the one I only played through Donkey Kong Country 3 once. I played through Donkey Kong 1 and 2 multiple times. I played Donkey Kong Country Returns, and I liked it quite a bit, but I only played through it once. I thought that Tropical Freeze was good for what little I played of it. That seemed better than Returns. So I guess, as stupid as it sounds again to think of a Nintendo game as a hidden gem, I don't think anyone really played Tropical Freeze because it's been stranded on that goddamn Wii U. Is it out for Switch yet? Is there a Switch version? I think there is, right? Yeah, like Tropical Freeze, every video that I've seen on the game says it's absolutely fantastic, and it does a really great job, and it has a lot of cool visual variety as well as difficulty. What little I played of it was very challenging, and it just felt really good to play. And yet it was stranded on the fucking Wii U for so long, and not many people played it. Yeah, so I think that's the best I can do. I'm gonna try for just like a minute here to see if I can think of any other games that maybe maybe I played and other people haven't. Maybe I should check Steam and see if there's anything on there. Let me do that. You said the Tropical Freeze wasn't worth getting on the Wii U because it was an overpriced port. On the Switch, you mean? Yeah, I agree with that too. I still agree with it. Yeah, you shouldn't get it. It is an overpriced port. But it's still a great game. It's still way too expensive. But yeah. Talked about Celeste. The new Doom is a platformer, right? For sure. Hat in Time is a really good indie platformer. I played it a little bit and it was okay. It felt pretty good, but I didn't get back into it. I had no strong desire to go back and play it again. Would you call the Abe's Odyssey games platformers? I don't think so. Is Prince of Persia a platformer? Maybe. Is Hollow Knight a platformer? I don't think so. I think if your game has a lot of combat, it doesn't count as a platformer. It's half platformer, half something else. Endless Night, I haven't played the Endless Night. The old Prince of Persia is definitely a platformer, I think. It's more cinematic, but yeah. I haven't played the Endless Night, I haven't played Psychonauts, sorry. I don't think Ori... no, I don't think so. No, I don't think I have any hidden gems for you, sorry. There must be some that I played for the Super Nintendo that I can't remember. Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Oh, that game was hard. Earthworm Jim, that game was hard too. Lost Vikings was cool, but that's a puzzle game, I think, more than a platformer. That game was fun. That was interesting.
Thanks for the support, Face Mask. And my first thought was Inch Oats, but is it Inch Oats? Am I close? You keep looking what you're doing. I'm just not going to sit here silently.
No, wait, what are you talking about?
Face Mask said they subbed and they want to continue to support you. They hope things continue to go well. And either Inch Oats or Inch Oats said that you took a shot at the name and could I one-up you?
Okay, yeah, I remember that now.
Inkwets.
Okay. I know what you mean.
I wouldn't have got that because it's not an E at the end. I also thought maybe Enchiladas or something. Maybe it was like a Spanish name or something, but Inkwets. I'll try to remember for next time.
There's a Super Nintendo game that...
Oh, maybe you were closer. You did better than me for once.
There's a Super Nintendo game that I can't remember, and it's bugging me that I can't find it.
Congratulations.
Aladdin for Super Nintendo was great, that isn't it? But that game was great, surprisingly great. Anything by Capcom really is worth checking out back then. Even like the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse, that was actually pretty good too. I remember that being enjoyable. Like not like oh my god best time ever, but it was good. Yeah, anything by Capcom back then. I think there was a Tiny Toon Adventures game that was pretty good. I remember that being pretty good too. You played that, didn't you?
Which?
The Tiny Toon Adventures game?
Oh, I love that game. I would play that now if we had it.
Buster
That's how
Bust
much I
Sluice.
loved
Is that it? There was like a bunch of those games that I rented when I was a kid and I played. Lion King game's great too, yeah. Lion King game is really good, yeah. Okay, I think that's all I can say, sorry. I don't really have that many hidden gems of platformers for you. Hopefully we spoke about it.
Oh, I hope so.
At least a little bit. Sorry.
I hope you came close.
Sorry.
A story about my uncle is free on Humble Bundle and an interesting 3D platformer. That's a cool name. A story about my uncle.
A story about my uncle.
Kind of Edith Finchie.
Ralph Clogs used 100 bits to say in Yusuke voice, Joe, if you get stressed from video making, have you considered the art of gardening? If you're having a bad day, you can plant tulips to Dee's nuts. I would like to garden. That's something I wanted to do, and then it got too cold, too fast after we moved in.
There's no time.
And there's no time. Yeah, there's never time. Anyway, let's go to the next person who, thank you Kiefero, who is Jack S, who has, wow, that's a lot. Okay, so we'll start with here and then question 1, then we'll go to question 2, but let me put it up on the screen. Jack S. All right, good luck, Lily.
Thank you. It's like when I used to do drama in high school and I had those monologues.
I thought you were gonna say drugs.
Let
I
me
heard the
tell
duh and I was like, oh.
What's going on?
Jack S says, hello Joe and Lily, we meet once again this month for the Q&A and of course hope you both and the kids are doing well and had a great Christmas and have a happy new year.
Thank you very much.
We'll try and make the questions not short stories this time to make life for Lily a little bit easier and so both of you can go to bed faster. Thank you. Question 1. I have been thinking about creating videos for a long time now. However, every time I start writing a script and jotting down ideas for a video that I think would be great, I instantly scrap it due to feeling as if the video that I want to make not contributing to the overall conversation at large surrounding video games. Whether this may be just reiterating the same points from someone else in a similar fashion, stating the obvious and so forth. It really bums me out when I think I am doing great work, when in reality all I am doing is just restating the same points from everyone else. I don't want to watch and even listen to a lot of gaming related content anymore due to this reason now, in order to try and form my own opinion on everything that I play and watch. My question to you is, do you have any advice on how to break out of this rut, or just creating videos in general, and have you ever felt this way when producing any of your videos?
Alright, so there's a lot to unpack there, I think. First of all, yes, it is a factor, and yes, there have been times where I've even stopped a video because I feel like there's nothing unique to say. But that is not always the correct response. So it works on all levels, really. When you're first starting out, you should just do it, because even if you are repeating what a lot of other people say, you need the experience and you need the exposure. If you, the problem with purposefully ignoring other videos, which I have done in the past as well, I don't want to have my opinion influenced by others, is that if you know what everyone else is saying, you might accidentally say the same thing, or you might accidentally repeat a point that someone else said and you don't even realize it. This is a problem with a lot of comedy, I think, as well. Like there's a lot of comedians that will accidentally steal a joke that they'll think they thought up when really they heard it from somewhere else. Of course, there are joke stealers that and plagiarists that do it repeatedly, but you know, every now and then something happens and it's just unavoidable. The problem is that if you avoid what everyone else is saying to not have that problem, you will still overwhelmingly likely write what everyone else is saying at the same time, just without the foresight of knowing that you're putting up this video that potentially is going to just be retreading the same ground. So if you know what everyone else is saying, and you and you have that in your head, as long as you can differentiate what you're saying and you can you're not going to repeat all the same points over and over again, you can know what to avoid even and how to expand on those points instead of just repeating them. So you can take what's already been established and what you agree with from other people's videos, and you can take it one step further and expand on what they said in a different direction even. Or you can disagree with it and you can say, okay, well, this is not how I reacted to it. I know this is what most people think, and you can take it in that direction. The danger is that you might not find anything unique, and this is why I said that it can help no matter what kind of stage of a creator you're in. At the beginning, it almost doesn't matter. You want to just have the experience, you want the exposure, you want to get the videos out there. You should still try your best to make them as good as you possibly can, but unless you are in a position where you are so comfortable with finances and time that you can devote so much time to videos that you don't publish, you just need the experience of actually completing them. It's like you're not going to get better at, running around the track by just sitting at the sidelines and just thinking about it and like, oh yeah, I would just pick up the speed at this corner and this turn here. Like no, you have to do it. You need the practice. So you need the experience. And if you're trying to build something for like make a career out of it, you also need the exposure to build up your audience. But then it still holds true later on when you do have that audience, because even though you may be retreading the same ground, people still want to hear you say it. They want to have, okay, even this person agrees with this, with the consensus, or they want to hear how you say it in your unique voice, even though your points are not unique along with that voice. So in a way, and again, it's very general and there's going to be exceptions, and you should always try your best to add new things to the conversation. But in a way, you should definitely just do it. Don't worry too much about it and just do it. And I think that avoiding a lot of other people's videos and a lot of work that they're doing is probably a mistake in the long run, but there will be times when it's worthwhile. And I am guilty of flip-flopping on this. There are some videos where I make it a point to not watch anything at all. And then there are other videos where I'm like, you know what, I think that it could really benefit if I did some research about this, see what people are talking about, and maybe there's some things I can expand on it. And I think that usually comes through in the video. I don't know what's better. I just know that I I'm at the beach and I'm flip-flopping around on it from video to video. So that might be a little of a frustrating of an answer there. Sorry.
Similar to any writing, though, right?
What do you mean?
Well, it's a little bit different making the videos because they're opinion pieces for the most part, right? Like you're putting your own spin on it, right? No matter whether it's the same idea someone else had or the same interpretation or not. But for writing, the most important advice you can get when it comes to writing a novel or a short story or poetry or whatever is reading other people's work and learning what you like and what you don't like, and finishing any of those works to try and get better. Like if you are writing a novel and you always stop halfway through, you've never had the experience of wrapping it up and finishing it, then you're not going to be very good at endings, right? You're never going to finish a book. So if there are so few, completely original ideas now, right? Like everything comes from somewhere.
Everything, it's all derivative. But
so if you're trying to write a brand new novel that nobody's ever influenced, or that you can read all these books and everything, and hopefully you'll be able to put your own spin on an idea, or take part of their idea and take part of their idea and make your own idea.
Yeah.
But it just, if you never read anything because you want to come up with your own idea, then you're missing out on a lot, and you're kind of going against the grain on what most writers actually actively tell you to do.
I think it's Oscar Wilde that said that amateur writers borrow, mature writers steal. It's just like you just take it and you just make it your own. This is a really big topic and I'm not prepared to talk about it. I might never be prepared to talk about it, but I do want to say that I'm not 100% in agreement with everything is derivative. That everything that has been said before. I'm not 100% in agreement with that.
I'm not saying 100%.
No,
How could I know? I'm saying most. Many ideas have already
I'm not saying you're saying that either. I'm just putting it out there because it's related to the topic. I don't know if that's something I 100% agree with. Although it's very complicated. But when it comes to videos like what I make, there are things to be said that have never been said before. It's not all derivative. It may be derivative in a way if you really boil it down to its most base elements. But video games are such a new medium still. I'm going to say they're probably in their adolescence now. They're not in its infancy. That you will be saying new things, and like terminology isn't even around yet, and we can't even agree if are video games about interactivity or are they about narratives that you have choices in, or are they about difficulty? I think that there's a very strong argument that should be made, and one day I might make it, that all video games need to be difficult. And if they're not difficult, you could very strongly argue that it's not a video game. The problem is difficulty. Difficulty doesn't mean, oh my god, I'm going to die 50 times to this boss. It can mean very low amount of difficulty, but it still needs to be just a little bit of difficulty. Yeah, so I don't know. It's
The weary traveler draws close to the end.
it's a difficult thing to judge, for sure. But yeah, don't be afraid to retread the same ground. Don't be afraid to refine a point. Don't be afraid to just reference what someone said and take it further than that. Yeah, just go with it. I would say that if you want to be a up and coming or a new channel, that a good way to see how well you can expand or refine points is to find a channel that's sort of like Game Maker's Toolkit, who is very, very direct, very entry level, and very succinct about the points that they make. Like Mark Brown goes for topics that are more fundamental and are more easily understandable, and they're a really, really good foundation to build on afterwards. So you can look at his videos and be like, okay, well, I want to go into more depth on this topic, so I'm going to use this as sort of like a springboard, and I'm going to reference this video at the beginning, and then I'm going to just go further with it, that sort of thing. I would say that would be a good writing exercise if you want to start a channel. But also, if you want to start a channel, my advice would be don't. So I'm a hypocrite there. But that's for another day, I think. Yeah, but good luck with it, and don't be afraid to just reference it if you want. Just own it. Don't like pretend that, oh, this is something that's completely unique that you thought of, or you're just gonna pretend that you're not retreading the same ground or anything like that. You know, you don't even have to like sheepishly do it either. Like, oh, and I know this has been said a lot before, although I have said those words before in a video. You can just say something like, you know, the common perception on this right now is X, Y, and Z, and I agree with X and Y, but I disagree on Z, and then you can just launch into it like that. You know, you can get pretty good at just like owning that and then just going. Yeah, that's what I think. Anyway, next question from Jack S. Up here.
Yeah, I know. I was having a moment to remember how to say the name. I recently watched a video from Micah Edmonds, an extremely small creator who has made a series of videos trying to understand video games. These include critiquing Hellblade, a retrospective on the Batman Arkham games.
I know the channel. Yep.
And two of my favorites, a video surrounding what Walt Williams, the writer of Significant Zero, who I have recommended in a previous Q&A, has taught him through his book, and Specs Ops The Line. With the other being a very personal video about 2013's Tomb Raider and self-hate, which goes into the concepts of violence in games and how, for the most part, how an individual person's opinion surrounding that game, whether referring to the violence in the game, quality, etc., is meaningless. My question to you is, with your content, or even just personal opinion, have you ever felt it really mattered to the overall conversation about games? And do you think that the individual opinion on the consumer really matters in the grand scheme of the industry? To end off, I just want to say thank you to you both. I recently passed my first set of university exams, and yes, while I did a lot of work to get there and pass, both of you have kept me company for hours on end, whilst I have been studying and revisiting notes for the last 6 months, and I can't help but send my gratitude. Additionally, if you ever want to check out Micah Edmonds' content, he is no longer making videos, but rather making his channel a time capsule.
What?
Knowing that you are busy, links will be provided below. Tomb Raider and Self-Hate, what Williams taught me. Again, thanks for everything both of you do, everyone on Discord and Twitch. Here's to a great 2019, and we'll see you on the Discord or the next Q&A. Love you guys. Congratulations on those exams.
Yeah, congratulations. Sorry, I'm just kind of surprised that the guy's done. Sorry, I kind of blanked out on everything after you said that. Huh. That's sort of there's someone else on my Twitter timeline that quit recently, and have closed it down, and he's not alone. I wonder if just the pressure is too much, and I can definitely sympathize with that. Especially starting out, it's really difficult to break into YouTube, and I wonder if I had started even a month later than I did, if we wouldn't be here right now. You know, I do wonder about that. Yeah, I know that guy's channel. I think I've watched the Hellblade video. I can't really remember. I've watched a lot of videos. Yeah, I think, I'm pretty sure. I think I follow him on Twitter. Anyway, yeah, I'm surprised by that. Okay, I don't know if my videos matter that much to the video game discussions at large. I know that sometimes, especially the contentious videos, that they are used to win arguments, they are used to try to win arguments. They don't actually win arguments, but they try. And I really don't like that they're used that way, and I wish that people wouldn't use them that way. So what I mean is that there will be people that are in a discussion, and they'll say, "Oh well, God of War has some problems with its combat," and someone else will say, "No, it doesn't. The combat's fine." And then someone will just link the video I made and be like, "Well, watch this video and you'll see everything that's wrong." And it's like, thank you for linking my video and potentially getting someone to watch it, but that is not cool. Not only is it just not productive for a conversation at all, no one's gonna still be around after you're done watching 3 hours of footage. You might piss the person off, and you know, you're really appealing to authority there with just linking this video and just saying like, hey, look, it's like kind of like an I win button. It would be much better if you could understand the points and use them in the argument instead of just linking the video, and then you just link the video as a reference of, like, because usually the points I make in the video have evidence. Doesn't mean they're infallible. It's just that there's evidence backing them up. So that's how I would prefer for them to be used. But when it comes to like the more cultural part of games, or the more kind of lofty issues of consumerism and value for money and treating devs well and how we approach games and all that stuff, I don't think so. I don't think my videos are important in that way and are impactful in that way. I don't know if I would want them to be. I have no idea. I could be wrong. I don't know. I have a very difficult time judging my own work, including books that I've written, stories, videos, just anything really. The only good thing that I'm good at judging that I've made are my children. So no, I'm not really that good at gauging that, unfortunately, or fortunately. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. I have a pretty... I get accused of being arrogant quite often, but I actually have a pretty low opinion on almost everything that I do. It's difficult for me to really bask in something that I've made and sit back and think, oh, I did a really good job there. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it breaks through, but I've spoken before about my upbringing on these Q&As, and I had this father that would, if I was ever like, the British word is chuffed. It's like you're really proud or happy about something, like you're well chuffed about something. If I was ever chuffed, my dad would just take that as a signal to just really take me down a peg. You know, there was something broken in my dad, that it still is broken, I assume. Something broken in my dad that if anyone was having a good time about something in the family, it was sort of like, if he was feeling miserable, then he had to make you miserable too. And I feel like I have that in me sometimes, and I try very hard to fight against it. If I ever see Lily or the kids having a good time, you know, it's like sometimes it's kind of like you want to equalize what's going on. And I know I get that from my dad. I don't know if I got that from my dad because it's genetic, or if it's because it was learned behavior. I don't know. And I think there's sort of a defense mechanism that I've built up in my mind now after having dealt with that so much. My mom would do it too, but my dad is the one that really sticks out in my mind as doing it more insidiously than she did. So whenever I get into that sort of place where I'm like, okay, I'm having a good time right now, it's like, okay, back off a little bit. You're not allowed to be happy, you know? It's that sort of thing. I haven't really thought about this a lot, so it's possible that I could be blaming my father for absolutely no reason, and this just could be a part of who I am. And I've always been this way, but I don't think so. I think that I remember being able to be obliviously happy when I was younger, and it just kind of being like conditioned out of me. That's what I think. But maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was something else. I don't know. And I try to fight against that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't take compliments well. I try. I've gotten better at it. I've gotten better at just saying thank you, and thinking that maybe I do a good job. You know, it's like, okay. But when it comes to something like, hey, do you think you have influence or impact? I can look at it more O-word objectively and be like, yeah, I can see that people watch the videos and they talk about them, and there must be something that people are getting out of them there. But are the videos important? Fuck no. Like, are they like changing anything? Fuck no. Like, absolutely not, you know? So yeah, that's how I am. And there's no changing that at all. There's absolutely no changing that. Yeah. Success comes with its kind of poison for me, I think, and I'm trying to work past it, but I don't know if it's possible. Actually, had a not a long conversation, but a fair conversation about it with Nick recently. He's the one that does the highlights. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I didn't answer that properly. Let me read it one more time. Oh, there's a second part of the question. Do you think that the individual opinion on the consumer really matters in the grand scheme of the industry? Okay, yes, it does, but it also doesn't. It's sort of like when you're voting, your vote doesn't matter. It just doesn't. There's just too many people for your vote to matter. You would have to be insane to think that your vote matters. But at the same time, you would also have to be insane for... There must be a name for this. There must be some sort of name for this paradox, or whatever it is. Of course your vote doesn't matter. You're just one person, and there are millions and millions and millions of people voting. Like, how could your vote possibly matter? But at the same time, if everyone felt that way, then it would matter. You know what I mean? So there must be some name for that. That has to be a term. Someone in chat is saying the paradox of the heap. Maybe that's what it is. So yeah, individual does not matter at all, because you're just one tiny little voice in a sea of so many. But if you weren't shouting along with everyone else, then there would be a change. So yeah, it does matter for sure. It's a bit frustrating to realize that there is this perpetual like tug of war that goes on for change to happen in anything, and it's just part of the process. And as frustrating as it may be, it's just something that we have to put up with. It's a little depressing actually, but yeah. So there are multiple names for it apparently, people are saying in chat, yeah. It's like a World of Warcraft boss.
Pity the emperor who sits alone.
Like a 5-man boss. Huh. I don't know what I'm doing in here, by the way. Anyway, I hope those were decent enough answers, Jackass. Thank you very much for the questions. Someone in chat is saying, I heard at some point that you have a very particular pace you like to read your script, something about the watchability that it provides. Do you have to write your script in a specific way to accomplish this, or is it something an aspiring essayist can mentally separate? The way that I read the script has nothing to do with how they're written, no. I thought about that for a while. Do I have to write them in a specific way? For a long time, I thought I should avoid specific sounds and putting specific sounds in a row because I really struggle to pronounce certain sounds in a row, and I don't like having too many S sounds because it can sound really sharp, like it probably is right now. But in videos it can sound even worse for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe Audacity makes it a bit worse. But yeah, that ended up being fruitless. It just wasn't worth the effort of trying to avoid those common stumbles that I come across. It just wasn't worth it. The pace I usually read at is that I often close one eye. I don't know why. When I'm reading, sometimes I have to close my left eye, and I have no idea.
Need glasses.
I have no idea why. I do need to wear my glasses, but the screen I'm usually okay. And I usually hold up my right hand, and I kind of wave it in front of me as I'm talking in a pace like I'm Obama, and I have like my hand. I'm doing it right now, where I just kind of like wave my hand, and I try to pronounce with each hand wave like that. And I find that really stabilizes me with how I speak. I spoke way too fast in the first couple of videos, and you can see me resume that whenever I'm reading something out on stream, you know, or if I'm talking really fast when I'm answering one of these questions. I try harder to be slower. In fact, sometimes I'm a little bit too slow now, but
Imagine he's holding up his right hand and he's making it circulate like a Ferris wheel. So he's going in like a wide circle in front of him very slowly.
Oh, they didn't understand?
Yeah, they're very confused. So just imagine like the rotation of the hand rising and then falling and then rising and falling, and that's the pace that he tries to keep up with, the pace that he's moving his hand. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
You're like waving, and I think they think that you're waving. Like
No.
it's like you're dancing.
It's like
the Numa guy?
It's like a churning, like I'm turning a lever, like, or a crank. That sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah. I think I probably speak a little too slowly now, but I'm okay with being a little slow because I didn't unlock this shortcut. I'm okay with being a little slow because you can put me on 1.25 speed or 1.5 speed or even 2 speed if you want that. But there's no turning me down slower on YouTube without it sounding awful. I listen to most YouTube videos now in 1.5 speed. Even if the person can talk really fast, I still usually put it up to 1.5 speed. If they're really slow, I put it on 2 speed, and I get more out of my YouTubing that way. So that's my my approach to that. Silver key, silver cash. All right. I don't know what this is, chat. I'm gonna break a rule right now, and I'm gonna ask chat because I don't want like to ask chat about the game when we're playing when we're in Q&A. Should I go here or should I go to the other one? I see that there's a connecting thing up here. What should I do? Have you heard about the law of Janti? It is popular in Scandinavia. It is supposed to mean you are nothing special.
It's an interesting idea.
Well, that hurt. Okay, so those are pressure plates.
He says Micah Edmonds has stopped making videos due to feeling as if he has nothing else to say about video games. Thanks for answering. We'll reflect upon what you said about video production. Thanks. Thanks for reading all of that.
Okay, maybe he'll come back, or maybe he'll do something else.
Maybe he'll play something that he'll really have something to say.
I remember his production being pretty good. I don't know if I finished the video, and that's not a slight against him. I start a lot of videos when I only have like 10 minutes of downtime, when I'm just, you know, I have to sit and just be for a little bit, and I don't have time to finish them. Yeah. Like I was watching Lobos Jr. Or Lobos JR, I don't know how you say his name, play the new Dark Souls mod on YouTube the other night, and I'm interested in that. It looks fun. Daughters of the Ash or something. I need a silver key to open it. I think I'm gonna sneeze. No. Is it gonna go away? Is there anything worse than needing to sneeze and it goes away?
I hate that. It's happening a lot.
Okay, next person is Dawson D. There we go.
Hey Joe and Lily, thanks for taking the time to answer these. I know it's not always convenient. Have you finished the Witcher book series? I'm just curious, hope it doesn't come off as pushy or rude.
It's not pushy, it's not rude, but I'm unfortunately gonna have to be rude because I'm not answering any questions about The Witcher until it's done. Even if I answer that sort of question, I've said enough about the Witcher project in the past that someone is going to be able to extrapolate where I am in terms of the project, and I don't want that because I don't want any undue pressure. And like I said before, I really learned my lesson when it comes to talking about the big projects before they're finished. But yeah, there just know that there will not be another long video until that's done. Like the longest video that's going to go up on the channel is going to be this next one on Fallout 76, because it was a mistake for me to start playing it like I did, and there's going to be a lot of talk about there's going to be a lot, like a long glitch video, but yeah, sorry about that. But there's another question I think someone else asked. Maybe it was your second question. I don't think so. I think it was someone else that asked about the Witcher games, and I'm going to give them the same answer. I'm just not talking about the Witcher video at all. Sorry. There have been times in the long videos in the past, God of War, Odyssey, Fallout 4 1 year later, and The Last of Us and Uncharted, that like, I mean, I don't want to be melodramatic, but like we were close to maybe going to the hospital. Just like I don't want to. I want to learn my lesson as much as I want to talk about projects before they're up, and it's a big problem for me because I love talking about what I'm working on. I'm just not gonna do it. Sorry.
How do you feel about Bethesda Game Studios' design choices as a whole? Do you think their games are just meant to be played casually, or do you find the design straight up bad? I'd say I land somewhere in the middle. I think they have a specific thing they shoot for with their game, and while most of their games have a large number of issues, I can't say I've played something that's ever replicated one.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, for sure. There is something special about them. I don't think there's ever been another game that's open world like Skyrim and Oblivion are, where you can pick up almost everything, and not just pick it up and put it in inventory, but you can pick it up, like you can hold a cup and throw it across the room and turn it, that sort of thing. I don't think there's any other open world game that's like that. There might be other open world games that are complex and if you want to say immersive in other ways. Red Dead 2 comes to mind, about how crazy Rockstar was when it came to some of the details in that game. But I don't think there's one that's quite like the Elder Scrolls. I don't think... See, Bethesda's in this weird place where they're simultaneously overrated and underrated, which, again, like, it's just so stupid saying out loud, but there are people that love them and will defend anything they do. There are people that are like head over heels in love with 76. And while I can see why you would enjoy that game, you know, like I've read posts like I play this game every day, and I'm so grateful that they made, and it's like, what? So I know that they're overrated in that way, but they're also underrated because they do some really compelling things and some really interesting things, and there is nothing else quite like them out there. I think Bethesda's biggest problem, and I don't talk about this in the video, maybe I'll add it to it now, is that I don't think anybody who's high up in that company, that high enough to make decisions, plays games. I feel like there's someone up there that's making all this bullshit, and it's like it's not a gamer, and they're making really ill-informed decisions, and they have no idea like the sort of damage that they're doing when it comes to that. Or it could be that it could just be that there's too much power given to the people that want to push the money-making machine as much as possible. Fallout 76 is not finished. It's just not. It's not buggy. It's not, you know, it didn't. It's not that it didn't have Q&A or anything like that. It probably didn't, but that's not the reason why it is in the state that it is. It's literally not finished. It is an unfinished game. And there is not a single dev that worked on that game. This is in the script. There's not a single dev that worked on that game that can be proud of what they did because of that. There's just no fucking way. It's just not finished. So I don't know how it even happened. It's a great mystery. Mandalore and I were speaking about that a lot while we were playing. It's like how did this happen? Like we kept asking ourselves as we were playing it, like what's the mystery here? Like there's mysteries in the game, but the biggest mystery is just HOW question mark. Like what the fuck? I don't understand. But yeah, so they're overrated in a way that just a lot of their fans will just eat up any shit that they pop out, and they get away with some stuff that no other developer would really. And yet they're underrated because I feel like many people can't see past technical limitations, the bugs, and just have decided that if it's not Morrowind 2, they don't give a shit, and that's fine. And they may not like that Fallout has become this thing that Bethesda has kind of morphed into their own Bethesda style game that I call them, but there's merit to these games. You know, there are some good things that they do, and despite how potent and far-reaching the problems that are in them, they're still an enjoyable time if you meet them on their own terms. So yeah, I don't think they're shit. I don't think that they're God's gift to gaming either. But yeah, they're definitely not the complete scumbag company that a lot of people seem to think that they are. Except that now we have 76 that makes that really hard to say. There are undoubtedly a lot of really talented people that work at Bethesda, and they must be cringing their skin off that 76 was launched. I mean, they must have been sitting there like, okay, we have a year left of development time. Let's get all these things finished and polish it up. And then someone just walked in and said, hey, we're launching in 3 months. And they're like, whoa? Like it must be that. Like, the game ain't finished, yo. It just ain't finished. There's no way. But maybe that's a little too much about 76 for you. But sorry, it's on my mind. I was literally editing the video before we started this Q&A. Like I had to close Premiere to start this.
Where there's a silver
Yeah,
key, there
I don't know.
must be a silver door.
What do I mean by not finished? What aspects don't seem complete? The quests aren't finished. There are other vaults in the game that you can't go into because they didn't finish the interiors of them. There are very clear signals that you should be able to go into them, and they originally planned to go into them. There are storylines that go nowhere. There are so many bugs that it's impossible that this is, this isn't even a beta. This is somewhere between alpha and beta, and that they got the news at some point, 3 months before the game is coming out, and instead of doing a lot of the nitty gritty stuff, they're like, okay, well, we need to have at least some of it feature complete. Rush to get it done. The game is just not. It's apparent. It's obvious that it's not finished, and I don't want to just completely dismiss the question that you're asking, but I go into way more detail in the video, and I think it's better to let that speak for it instead of trying to remember all my points live when I'm probably not going to explain it all that well. I think that's all I can say. Yeah, Bethesda is very frustrating because I think there's something really special that they could do with their games, especially this kind where they really embraced the. Is there a way to loot multiple things at once? Where they really embraced their style of game, but unfortunately, they didn't do anything extra onto that. Yeah, it's really, really frustrating. God, fucking hell, what a shit show. Anyway, yeah, hopefully that was okay, Dawson D. Thank you very much for your questions. Oh, this part I didn't answer. Do I think they're meant to be played casually? I don't think so, no. I think you're meant to sink really deep into those games. They can serve, casuals, but it depends on your definition of casual. Are you casual in terms of difficulty and depth, or are you casual in terms of the amount of time that you can put into games? They're definitely not games for casuals when it comes to time. But when it comes to complexity and depth, probably, yeah. They're aiming more for to be accessible with that crowd. Yeah. Anyway, next person is Joseph N. Oh, first of all, we have to say thank you to Ben 90. Thank you very much, Ben 90. Thank you. Welcome to Prime Time. Welcome to the Pickle Pile Monkey Town. Thank you so much.
Howdy.
Howdy, Joe.
How is Sapiens? Feel free to spoil.
Well, Sapiens is nonfiction, so if I'm spoiling it, I'm spoiling history, right? Or some of the more interesting conclusions. Okay, so Sapiens is a fairly long book. It is nonfiction, and the full title is Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, right?
I think so. Didn't pay
attention. Or is it Mankind? Sapiens.
I just started reading it yesterday.
Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by, I'm going to butcher this, Yuval Noah Harari? Harari?
I would say Harari.
Harari. And it is about us. It's me and Lily specifically. No, it's about humans. It's about Sapiens. It's about where we started and where we're headed. That's why it's called A Brief History, even though it is a fairly long nonfiction book, because it deals with the entirety of our history. It is... Okay, so I don't know enough about history and all the topics that it discusses, because it goes from, anthropology to economics to mysticism. It talks a little bit about sexuality and gender issues, very briefly. It goes from so many different topics, and I don't know enough about any individual one of them to dispute what's said. So there's likely some stuff that's wrong. I did look up criticism of the book because I wanted to see if there's anything that the book got really, really wrong. And the only criticism that I found seemed legitimate until I realized that it was written by religious people that were upset. I'm reading it and I'm like, okay, this sounds like it could go places, and it provides some criticism, and then it starts being about Jesus, and I'm like, oh, okay. The book, if I wasn't already an atheist, the book would have probably made me an atheist, and now I'm even more atheist. I'm the atheistist. So after reading this, and it has answered numerous questions that I've had in my head for, you know, most of my life, and it was incredible finally getting those answers that I've always wanted to know. Something so like how did the general history of our species come about? You know, more about Neanderthals, more about economics and the creation of our monetary system, that sort of thing. Some of these I already knew, and I watched videos and read some books about it in the past, or some articles in the past, not books. But this was one of the strength of the book is the idea that I think is quite important, that I think Richard Feynman really exemplifies, is that if you can't explain your point in simple terms, or if you can't explain it to a layman, then you don't really understand it. And you can probably see that I'm struggling a little bit to explain the book, which means that I don't fully understand the book. So I need to probably read it again. There are exceptions to that, obviously. I don't think that you can explain the entirety of economics in layman's terms. I just don't think it's possible. I don't think you could explain the highest levels of physics at the moment that we're at in layman's terms. So there are definitely exceptions to those rules, but in most of the cases, if you cannot explain it in a very direct, illuminating way, then that is not usually a sign that the topic is too complicated. It's instead a sign that you don't understand it enough yet. So go back and try again. So that's the strength of the book. It explains a lot of very complicated and dense topics in a way that is not always digestible, but if you give it your attention, you'll be able to understand it, and it moves between the different topics. There are very many important things in the book. The most interesting ones for me were when it talks about myths and how important myths are in our in the basis of our society, and how we have relied on them, and how we're constantly like a castle that's been built in the mud, and there's that I don't think it's an experiment. What is it? A thought process? I can't remember. Maybe it's like is it an allegory? Is allegory the right word? Where it's like, okay, you build a castle in the mud and it sank. You built another castle in the mud, that one sank too. You build a third castle, that one stayed up because it's on the foundation now of two castles that have sank in the mud. You know, that's how our society is, and it's built on this very often flawed things that our society has done in the past. And I'm talking about like a global society, our species, I should say, rather than society. And it's really interesting, but it's also really scary when you get to there. So he talks about myths and how there are things that we just all have agreed to go along with for the sake of society being able to function. So he will call stuff like money is a myth, that, you know, money has the way that we have money at the moment, which is legal tender instead of it being actually worth something like it used to be, that we all just go along with that. But it also goes further back, that there are certain materials that we were considered more valuable than others, and there's no intrinsic value in any of these things, and it's that we all have collectively agreed to go along with it for the sake of a functioning society. He goes more in detail on this, and it's probably a better way of explaining it when it comes to subjectivity and intersubjectivity. So subjectivity, as we know, is something that is based on individual beliefs and opinions, and can change and can't really be proven or shown and measured to someone else. Intersubjectivity is when, I think this is where a lot of people get subjectivity confused with objectivity. Intersubjectivity is when multiple people, maybe even thousands or millions of people, have all agreed to those subjective terms, even though they can't really be measured. He has some strange examples for this, and they're effective, but they are quite strange. And he talks about how companies are myths, and he explains it in a really interesting way, I think, in one of the first chapters, about how I think he uses a car company, but we'll use Coca-Cola because we are because we talked about Coca-Cola earlier, and he talks about how, like, if you destroyed every can of Coca-Cola on the planet, people would still know that Coca-Cola existed. If you took away all the Coca-Cola factories and production facilities, people would still know that Coca-Cola existed. If you replaced all of the workers that are currently there, all the CEOs, even the person that really founded the company, everything like that, if you took that all away, Coca-Cola would still exist and we would still know about it. So what is Coca-Cola? Is Coca-Cola the product? Is Coca-Cola the people that make it? Is Coca-Cola the people that made the factories? Is it the actual can? Is it the drink? It's all this shit. He goes into it, and the conclusion that you come to is that Coca-Cola is really this myth that we have all agreed to and we've all gone along with. And it was a really interesting way of looking at it. I don't know if it's 100% correct, but it was like, oh, okay, cool, you know. And then he goes on to different companies and different institutions to talk about that too. Use the skull and a pair of gloves to add a random enchant on them. Okay. He got into some topics that made me uncomfortable because I'm not a vegan. He talked about how you can look at a development of the planet in different ways, and you can see that if you're talking about human industrial progress and how many of us are on the planet, that we are very, very successful. But if you look at it as in the prosperity of all the living beings on the planet alone, all the beings on the planet, not just humans alone, that it has been a dramatic failure, and how we have, you know, just systemically tortured pretty much every other species on the planet. As we move between continents, we have just like destroyed ecosystems, not just recently either, but a long time ago. Like he talks about Australia and how when Sapiens first arrived in Australia, that it was not a good time for a lot of the local species that lived there. There are a lot of animal species that are just gone forever, and it was really interesting to find out about how like these huge kind of almost made up sounding animals used to live in the Americas, like these huge fucking mammals that were here, and we just killed them all and ate them all. That was interesting, but it was also interesting to know that our destruction of the environment and how we just have dominated our entire planet isn't that new. Like we've always done it, that we've always been that disruptive. It kind of makes you leads more to the conclusion that our taking over the planet is kind of leading to something, and it's always like inevitably building towards something, and maybe it's something horrible, or maybe it's something great, who knows. He talks a bit about traps, and how we have, when we first moved from being hunter-gatherers to being farmers and the agricultural revolution, that was a trap, and that after we started planting food and we stayed in one place, that we were now caught in this trap, that is that now we have more access to food, which means that we have more people, and we need more people to plant more food to feed the people, which means we can have more people, which means we need to plant more food. And he used it in a way that many people who gain more financial status in their life end up being less happy because they work very hard for the money. They get more money. Because they get more money, their lifestyle changes. This changes their lifestyle so heavily that it becomes the new normal, and the new normal is more expensive than what they were before. But because it's the new normal, they're actually just as happy as they were before. They're not happier, and now they're working harder to maintain the same level of happiness, and there's more stress because if they lose their new financial status, they're going to go back to the old way that they were, which is now below normal, which is the new normal, which creates a lot of stress. And that's kind of how he talks about the agriculture revolution and how we're sort of stuck. He talks about the economy a lot, and how we're stuck in a similar way with how capitalism creates wealth. That was quite interesting, but I think I knew most of that already, about how the banks can create money by cycling money back out. So I think the example he used was quite direct, which was if a builder has $1 million and deposits it in the bank, and then someone who wants to come along and open a bakery goes to the bank, needs $1 million to pay the builder, the bank signs over a loan to the baker, who then takes that $1 million to pay the builder, the same builder who had that money, to build the bakery. The builder now has $2 million in the bank. The bank only has $1 million, and the bakery owes the bank $1 million, even though it's the same money. Then the bakery finds out that it needs another $1 million, goes to the bank again, borrows the same money, potentially pays the builder for another expansion. Now there's $3 million in the builder's bank account, but still only $1 million in the bank, and the bakery owes the bank $2 million. So wealth can be created in that way. It's quite a simple example of how it works, even though it's the same amount of money. And I think he said that current banking laws allow this to happen 10 times. For every dollar that the bank has, they can lend out $10. And that's how they create wealth through debt, and how it's a good thing, and how before we could do that, there wasn't really a lot of progress and development because it was too risky to lend out money before the system was in place. As I'm talking about it, there's more and more that I'm remembering about the book, so I remember more than I realized. What?
Baby would like you to read it a story.
Why?
Because it just kicked the shit out of me while you were doing that.
Did it really?
Yeah, it's the first actual kick I've had. It was a kick. It wasn't a tug or a little poke. It was a kick.
Is the baby telling me to shut up?
I don't know, maybe. Either it loves the book or it doesn't love the book, but it was like right here.
Baby's moving?
I would say in like maybe another week or two you can feel it.
Haven't felt the baby move yet. It's still too early.
That was a little twinge.
Lily's pregnant, by the way, if you didn't know that.
Surprise.
We've said that before, but yeah, Lily's pregnant.
Yeah, that was totally a kick.
No, I didn't feel it.
Yeah, you were just going on and on and on, and all of a sudden it was like...
Anyway, sorry, I'm not doing the book justice. I highly recommend that you read it. I don't think I explained it very well. I should have prepared this, but the point of these Q&As is I just wind me up and I go. I will say in closing that the book has made me both feeling way more secure in the future of our species, but also a lot more scared about what might be coming in the future. I'm a lot more hopeful when it comes to the world not ending in war, because wars just simply become too expensive, and our countries and our societies in the world are too entrenched at the moment, and that's a good thing. We've all have economic guns held at everyone else's head instead of nukes. But on the flip side, I'm very concerned that and this is mostly out of ignorance and basing it off how I feel with what it's like trying to get ahead as the millennial generation after what the baby boomers did to the countries that I've lived in, and what's said at the end of the book. I feel like we're heading to a total economic collapse in the next 20 to 30 years, and the book made me more anxious about that. But less anxious about there potentially being like a big, like one last big huge war. But yeah, I have my my concerns about that. So yeah, Sapiens, I highly recommend it. I probably just did not do it justice at all, but yeah, that's Sapiens. There's another question from Joseph N. But let's answer this real quick because this is an easy one, and then I'll look at the ascendancy in the game.
What are your thoughts on Ninja Love Joanne?
I have absolutely no thoughts on Ninja. I've never watched him apart from that one clip where he told he told his viewers about Amazon Prime subbing when he had 250,000 people watching him. Google that if you want to see that, because it was amazing. I don't know how much money he made when he did that. Everyone gave him their free Twitch Prime thing, and yeah, that was incredible. But apart from that, I know nothing about him, so I can't tell you. Sorry, not my area. I know literally nothing. Okay, so let's see.
Holy shit, I'm so amazed and horrified at the fact that there's a thing inside you that kicks and you can feel it. It's really cool. And by the end, it's really cool because you can actually see it move. So yeah. If you ever have the opportunity to stare at a 9-month pregnant woman's stomach, you might be able to see a little butt stick
you can
up
see
or
it.
a foot
Yeah.
stick out, or
It's really weird,
awesome.
yeah.
Because up until now you can only see it moving on an ultrasound, and it's flailing around, and then you don't feel anything. But like pretty soon you'll be able to feel it and see it on an ultrasound at the same time. It's really cool.
Apparently it's supposed to take Paragon of Calamity. This is our source of life leech and enough to reach leech cap. Also provides a powerful defensive boost, some offense, and protects us from damage reflection. Paragon of Calamity.
Feed a storm with savage intent, and not even the strongest walls will hold it back.
I have 5 months to go. I'm 4 months now.
Okay. I think that's it. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. I don't think this was in the game when I played it before. I have no idea what this is. How do I... Okay. So is that... Oh, is this now like in the middle of the tree? Huh. Okay. That's kind of interesting. Okay. Sorry about that. Hey, I was rewatching your Bloodborne videos, and one thing that interested me is your use of German saying, "I wouldn't think too hard about all this, just go out and kill a few beasts to support your claim the story is lackluster. I'm confused. From what I remember of the Bloodborne story, wasn't German saying that directly tied to a number of secrets in the story? Maybe I'm being silly and I'm the fool who gets too deep in the lore. Well, I wonder if you see this or not." I haven't really investigated it much. I just know that Bloodborne is very similar to Dark Souls, and Dark Souls is meant to be intentionally vague and impenetrable because that's what Miyazaki has said it is supposed to be. He didn't say that literally, but he pretty much said it. And with translations, I'm not sure what exactly that he meant. But the idea of Dark Souls is that it's supposed to be like when he was a kid reading Western fiction. Fantasy fiction, and him not understanding it for 2 reasons: because it was very difficult for a child, but also because he didn't really fully understand English, and that's what he wanted to emulate. So that's why and Bloodborne feels exactly like that. Have I read The Very Hungry Caterpillar? Yes, I have.
I read it to Finn recently, actually.
On top of your books, if you read The Alchemist, do you think the book is overrated, or does it deserve all the praise it gets? I don't need a big answer. I have not read The Alchemist, sorry. What project are you most excited about in the future? The finishing the Witcher project. Very excited about that. Very excited about that. Finally
And
getting it done.
thank you to the Silent Cartographer who subscribed with Prime, and that's a really cool name.
That is a cool name. Thank you, the Silent Cartographer. Sorry it took us so long to say thank you. That was 20 minutes ago or so. Thank you very much. Welcome to Prime Time. Before we get on to Very Milky Joe's question, should I put a pair of gloves on here to enchant them? And that's it? Or what? Should I just throw the gloves that I have on there just to use it? Or what? Or can I come back and use this later? It doesn't matter? Okay, we'll just throw them on there then. Oh, can I take the skull? No. Okay. Alright, there we go. Alright, sorry about that. There we go.
Very Milky Joe says, did you ever play Horizon Zero Dawn? And if so, what were your thoughts? I remember you talking about how you were going to play it on older streams.
I have played Horizon Zero Dawn, but I haven't finished it. I played it when it came out, briefly. And that was right around when Leo was born, right? Because that's when Breath of the Wild came out, right? So I was playing that, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to nab a Switch to do a video on Breath of the Wild. And, of course, I ended up getting one, so I played that and did a video on that instead of Horizon Zero Dawn. I played Horizon Zero Dawn for, I think, 4 hours. Maybe it was more than that. I got out of the starting area. I did the Hunter Games part with the contest, and I was having a pretty good time. I would have liked to continue playing it, but I needed to I needed to haul on the Breath of the Wild video because I thought that was going to be the more important one, and that might have been the right decision. I'm not sure about that, but we'll never know. I thought that the game felt good. It felt good to play. It had a fairly interesting healing system that I'm interested to get back to and see how it works throughout the whole entire game. So instead of having an Estus flask that you stop and drink and refill at checkpoints, you fill it up by grabbing stuff from the environment as you're running past, and it fills up this healing bag that you have that you can use to activate, and it will slowly fill up your health. And I thought that was fairly interesting. This healing system that wasn't just a simple run away and let it regen, or just hit a button and automatically get healed. I thought that was an interesting system, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Yeah, I thought that was pretty fun. The shooting felt okay. I remember wishing that there was more slowdown when you were in the air and you were shooting while falling. Maybe there's a skill that you get that does that. I felt that was something that should happen, and that the game would have felt better with that if that was the case. I didn't get far enough to really feel any difficulty. I enjoyed the enemy visuals quite a lot, and the setting really interested me. In fact, most of my time was purely positive, apart from the main character. I didn't like how the main character looked. She looked like a gremlin child when you first meet her in the flashback sequence. It looked like they just shrank the adult model down to child size, and it just looked awful. And there was something kind of off about the adult model too. I thought that the voice acting was great, and I think it's Ashley Birch, right? I like Ashley Birch. I thought she did a good job with the voice acting from what little I saw, but I really didn't like. There's something kind of stilted about how the main character moved or talked. There's something off about it that I didn't like. Yeah, I wish that had been a little different, but maybe you get used to it. I don't know. No idea. I think that's it. I think that's all I can say. There will hopefully be a video on Horizon Zero Dawn at some point. I'm looking forward to getting back to it. I don't know when. I have no idea when that can possibly be, unfortunately, but I am looking forward to getting back to it.
You looking sharp?
I know it has DLC now too, so I would like to play it. I can get past, like, those are nitpicks. That's not a big deal. It's not like, oh, I'm not gonna play the game because of that. Like, no, that's fine. It's just that's all the information I can give right now. I think these are probably better just for the movement speed alone, right?
You getting there?
Don't do anything I would.
Let's see. Okay. Sorry, I can't talk about it more. Hopefully there will be a video at some point in the future. Next person is... Oh, we didn't put that one on screen properly.
Poor Very Milky Joe.
Sorry, Very Milky Joe. It just said Joe. It looked like I put my own name on the stream.
Wow.
Alright, there we go. Sorry about that.
Like you just wanted to talk about that, you know?
Yeah. Who's the hoser now?
Answering your own question.
Who's the hoser now? Okay, so who is it?
It's Micah.
It's Micah?
It's not Mika.
It's
which
Micah?
I always want to say Mika first, but then I think Micah.
It's Micah? Okay.
Which is funny because in Macedonian, Micah is mother, and I've always known that. So you'd think that I would instinctively say Micah and not Mika, but I always want to say it backwards. It's funny. After all these Q&As, I still can't say it. Hey.
Hey. How's it going, Micah?
Feels like forever since I've asked you guys my deep and meaningful and obviously the best questions.
Obviously.
I missed the last Q&A and shed several tears over it, but I'm back now, so let's get started.
Micah's throwing some shade, don't you think? Just a little bit? Okay.
This question is less relevant since it's January now, but I'll ask it anyway. How do you guys feel about Santa Claus? Specifically, do you think there's some hypocrisy that parents encourage their kids to be truthful and punish them for lying, while perpetrating a significant lie to them every year about a fictional person for the first 10-ish years of their life? I won't hide my opinion on this one. I find the Santa lie despicable. It damaged my relationship and trust with my parents for a long time and added some unnecessary angst and resentment to my adolescent brain. I'm aware most kids just get over it, but I never fully did. There's enough wonder in the world. People shouldn't need to make up more just to make kids behave. I won't rant about it anymore, but I'd love to know how both of you feel about it.
Okay, so we cheated a little bit, and we actually talked about this a little bit before because there was the question about sapiens, there was a question about subjectivity and impact of the videos, but no, it's the Santa Claus question that we discussed beforehand to make sure that we would do this question justice. This is where our priorities lie. So I won't speak for Lily, so I'll just say what I think real quick, and then Lily will say what she thinks. I think that, as with most things, it depends on how it's done. I can definitely see where you're coming from, and I hate deception. I hate lies. I used to hate lies so much that I had a policy that if anyone ever lied to me, they were dead to me forever. That's how much I hated lies. Just completely just done. That's how I was before. I've gotten better at this as time has gone on, and I've learned to move past what's probably an insecurity, because what happened when I was lied to before in my life. But that's how much I hate lies. And so I can definitely sympathize with where you're coming from. However, I really like the Santa Claus, myth. The idea of Santa Claus and the Santa Claus movies when I was a kid, and thinking, Santa Claus is coming to give presents. And I was told pretty quickly, or fairly early on, that there's no such thing as Santa Claus. Sorry for any Fortnite players that are listening to the stream, learning that right now. Sorry. But yeah, I was fairly early on, and I was a bit upset, but it was kind of like, oh, okay. I think it depends on how it's done. I think using it in a way that is abusive, just to bribe your kids to behave, and constantly throwing it in their face, like causing all this big anxiety and everything. I think that's really bad, and I don't think that's how it should be done. But if it's just kind of like hey, there's Santa Claus, and you get a present, and it makes that time of year a little more magical, and it can make that time of year feel a little more special even after you learn the deep dark truth. There is one thing that I learned about Santa Claus, that like a perspective about Santa Claus that I really enjoyed, but this isn't going to change anything for you, because your parents, from what I understand with how you worded the question, your parents used it in a really bad way that wouldn't have worked out. It's supposed to be used constructively, and the way was this, is that when you have kids, and this is what I want to do with our kids, if Lily agrees, I think she does, is that when they find out that Santa Claus isn't real, that you explain to them that when you're old enough to figure to know that it's not that Santa Claus isn't real, it's that you become Santa Claus. Is that now that you become Santa Claus for somebody else, and you give a present to somebody every Christmas from Santa Claus under the guise of Santa Claus, and you keep it alive that way. So it's not really so much of a lie, it becomes this ritual of, now that you're old enough to know, you become Santa Claus along with us, and we've been Santa Claus as well, and you do that. and that's what I want to do, and I think that's a good way of doing it. The other important thing that I, sorry if you're going to say this, Lily, because you're the one who taught me this, and I think this is good too, which is that you shouldn't give your kids, you know, Santa Claus, the present from Santa Claus when I was growing up was usually like the biggest present, and I think that Lily changed my perspective on that when I think she read something about how if you do that and you give your kids like crazy presents from Santa Claus and they go to school or they have friends and their Santa Claus gave them, you know, a bar of chocolate, you know what I mean, like a significantly smaller gift, because for whatever reason their parents chose to do it that way, or maybe their parents aren't capable of giving like big gifts from Santa Claus. That's fine for presents that come directly from the parents, but if it comes from Santa Claus, that can make it sound like, hey, Santa Claus loves me more than he loves you because he gave me this huge massive present and you got a bar of chocolate, you know what I mean? And I think that's something
There's
that
some families that have multiple presents from Santa, or like the stockings and stuff are also from Santa.
Yeah.
And so you have all these presents, and then if you're not, you know, the same economically, or what, you know, you can afford it, or for whatever other reason, and it looks like, you know, well, I got all this, and you know, oh, what did you get? Oh, you just got that. You know, you got a Barbie doll, and I got a Switch. You know, like it's not the same.
Santa Claus privilege. Anyway, what's your take?
I remember when I suspected there was nothing for a little while, and I remember my dad pulling me aside and saying, you know, yeah, you know, been meaning to tell you, you know, this isn't true, but you know, don't spoil it for your brother, because my brother is 3 years younger than me, so you know, they still wanted me to play along, and I was totally fine. I was actually more upset that there was no Easter Bunny than there was Santa Claus. I remember looking at him and being like, so the Tooth Fairy? And he was like, no. And I was like, Easter Bunny? And he's like, no. And I'm like, so all those stories, you know, no. Because my parents used to use it in the way I think maybe that Micah's parents used to use it, where they even had this little bell from the china cabinet that I found out later that's what they were doing with it. And they'd ring the bell at bedtime, and if we didn't run and get in bed because, you know, they wanted us to go to bed, he'd say, oh, the bell is the sleighs on the roof, and you know, did you hear that? That must have been the reindeer. They're watching you, and if you don't listen to us and do what we want you to do, then you're not going to get anything for Christmas. So we were completely under their thumb for whatever they wanted us to do, you know, get away with, you know. So, you know, the whole month leading up to Christmas, we had to be on best behavior, and I don't want to do that.
I want to do that.
I've said before, we're not religious people. We don't celebrate Christmas in terms of church and Christ and all of that. We celebrate it more just for the fun, you know, for the spirit of it.
Much clutter.
Like I said before, for me, I like it, and the pagan sense of it breaks up the winter. You know, you light your tree, you light the lights, it's dark out so early, you have your tree on all day long, all night long. You exchange gifts. It's something to look forward to when it's so bitterly cold, and you know, you've got all these months ahead of you of just winter, you know. So if you love winter, maybe you don't care, but most people are kind of hibernate in the winter and they don't go too far, and you know, it's something to kind of look forward to that's comfortable and warmth and gifts, and you know, all the trappings, kind of getting together with family, having nice food, you know, stuff like that. So for me, I'm trying to raise them with a similar, it's about celebrating the season, being in the spirit, and they don't have to be perfectly behaved, you know, like as long as they're not monsters, I guess. Like I've never said to Finn, you know, oh, you're not getting anything, you've been bad, you're not getting a present from Santa. It was just completely expected that you look forward to this, you know, Christmas is coming, Santa's gonna bring you a present, you know, and what do you think it'll be, you know, what do you think, you know, he would like to bring, what do you think he's gonna bring Leo, you know, get them all kind of hyped up for it, and hopefully when the time comes that Finn learns the truth, hopefully, like Joe said, I agree with that. I've read that before, something like that, about including the kids, you know, and becoming Santa for the next. I've read of some people taking it even further and having them help with like a soup kitchen or a charity, or you know, that they take it and they'd be Santa not just for within their own household, but they try to do a good deed and, you know, carry the spirit further, you know, like So that's something interesting too to think about. But I don't think Santa should be a threat.
Blessings.
I didn't resent my parents for making it a threat. I resent them for many other things, but not that. But I can see why you would feel that way, and why, you know, I see your point.
What did you get from Santa Leo? God is not great. How religion poisons everything. Oh no. Anyway, yeah. Okay, next question from Micah. And Micah has a couple short questions after this. Okay.
When does ludonarrative dissonance become an issue in stories? You make great points about Uncharted 4 not having a supernatural component that made all the killing necessary to save the world like the original trilogy had. What other games do you think have a ludodissonance problem? Do you think GTA 4 has it? In case you never played it, the protagonist wants to live a peaceful life but chooses to kill thousands more people without facing that much pressure to. Not to mention all the havoc you can cause during free roam. What are your thoughts on this?
Ludonarrative dissonance is a really difficult topic, and I just want to preface this answer by saying that I'm not going to do it justice, thinking off the top of my head, especially considering that I haven't thought about it much recently, because it's just such a frustrating thing to try to understand all the time. And to justify. There are a lot of people that don't care, and if anything, I'm envious that they don't care, because it does bother me. It doesn't really bother me much on a level of immersion, although if you ask me this a couple weeks from now, maybe I'll answer differently and say that it does. It bothers me in terms of narrative and story, and it's this switch between there being two different versions of the character that you are, and there's the one during the cutscenes and there's the one when you're in control. And I think that every game pretty much has some amount of dissonance because of that. And until you just have a game where there's just no control taken away from you, and that you always have choices during every interaction like that, that it's just unavoidable, and you just have to accept it. BioShock Infinite has what some people argue is ludonarrative dissonance, when Booker is running around eating garbage out of the garbage cans, you know, for just because you're in control and you're making him do some stupid shit. If that counts as ludonarrative dissonance, then there is a lot of ludonarrative dissonance in every game, because you can make characters do really, really dumb, stupid shit in pretty much every single game. You know, you can just I can make this run around in circles right now for absolutely no reason, and you know, what am I even doing? What's the context here? What's going on in this world right now? Like, and I think that it's only an issue in games that are really, really story driven and are trying to have deep characters, proper characterization. You know, there's going to be character development. You know, most games don't have that, so they can get away with doing stupid shit. I am a big fan of stories, and I think it's a very human thing to want compelling stories. And I am very suspicious when people who are gameplay is the only thing that matters to me, that's all I want from games, say stuff like that, because there being an interactive story medium is so incredible to me. And I just don't see how you can be human and not have an interest in stories. Everyone, it's like storytelling is a part of our heritage. You know, like it's deeply ingrained in us. So I'm always a little suspicious when someone says that, and I think that maybe they might have some ulterior motives, that they hate on specific games that have stories. And it's not that they have a problem with stories in games, it's that they have a problem with the specific type of stories that are being told in games that are quite popular. I don't know. I do know that I can agree with a lot of things when it comes to how games present their stories. Specifically, again, because it's on my mind because I just played it, I don't want to read when I'm playing a game. I'll read some, but I don't want to spend most of my time reading a story. I want to either be told the story through conversation, scenes, and narration, and that type of thing, and have a more movie type presentation when it comes to the story, or I want it to be told through gameplay. But even if it is a more cinematic type of story presentation, I would much prefer it that it didn't interrupt the flow of gameplay, that it was something that was done seamlessly and that you can always skip it. And in the type of games that really focus on that, I think that's the only place that ludonarrative dissonance matters. It's just, this gets really difficult to judge when you look at games like Super Mario. There are people that love Mario, and I don't mean love the game. They love the game too, but they love the character. They love Mario the character. They love Yoshi. They love Princess Peach or Toadstool or Daisy or whatever the hell you want to call her. They love those characters, and they want to see more of them. And they play those games because of those characters, even though the stories are just pretty much non-existent and are not the focus at all. And that's really weird to me, and I don't know how to process that and how that relates to my opinions and how I view a lot of video games. You know, like I really don't know where that fits, and it makes me think that maybe I have some thinking to do and some growing to do when it comes to how I view video game stories, because people aren't wrong to like those things, but yet it just baffles me, like who gives a shit about Mario as a narrative character, and yet there are people that do. Yeah, so I don't know, like it would never even occur to me to talk about ludonarrative dissonance in a Mario game, you know? So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't played GTA, so I can't really comment on GTA at all. So I don't know how. It sounds pretty dumb with what you're saying, and it sounds like something I would be annoyed with. The biggest one that annoyed me was in Mass Effect 3. The ludonarrative dissonance there was that there was something incredibly urgent going on, that was time sensitive, that is resulting in many people dying every single minute, and yet you can, hey, let's go talk to Garrus about the calibrations, and hey, what's going on down here, and let's go to an archaeological dig site, and let's just sit around and talk about our feelings. And that is the only game where it has been so strong that I could not play it. I could not finish it, so I turned it off. And I'll probably power through it, stomach it as much as I can when I play it again at some point. But I just turned it off and I couldn't handle it anymore. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I look at my Diablo 3 video and it was entertaining, but does it really matter? I don't know. Like, I go back and forth on that, and I think you can sense a little bit of my trepidation in the video as well. It's a Diablo game. Who cares? All I want to do is kill monsters and find loot. Like, who cares about the story? And so, well, Blizzard cares about the story. They put a lot of effort into it. And if people are going to put a lot of effort into the story, then it should be as good as it possibly can be. And these moments of ludonarrative dissonance should be smoothed out because they're really jarring. But it's like, then I come back to the Mario point, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe stories are allowed to be nonsensical and fucking stupid, and it's okay in most cases. I hate that idea that we can give so many stories a pass for being just off the wall fucking bonkers nonsensical, and who gives a shit as long as we hit these big narrative crescendos that we can make you buy into by using really strong, powerful dialogue in that moment and have a building blast of epic music to support it and make you feel it through that, you know, instead of building it up narratively. Like I don't know if that's good or not, you know. Video games are already dragged toward action movies because, like action movies, there need to be these sections where you just fight monsters. It's just that instead of it being the characters in the action movie having this big epic blowout, you know, let's see Iron Man fight fucking Hulk. It's you fighting some monsters. And that's great, but it leads every video game story that has a lot of combat, which is almost all of them, to have action movie plots, because you have to justify this type of gameplay within the story. And I don't know. I look at it and I think it's lazy, and that's why I think I enjoyed God of War stories so much, because it felt justified. There was no ludonarrative dissonance in the fighting in God of War. There was some ludonarrative dissonance if you really want to stretch the concept, but it was airtight. It made fucking sense, and it didn't feel superfluous. It didn't feel forced. That's why I think I liked it so much. And it's why I don't think there's ludonarrative dissonance in The Last of Us. It felt justified in The Last of Us 2. In Uncharted, I'm not sure about that. Uncharted 4 really felt like it was pushing a little bit, but I think all the other ones, it was like, okay, it's self-defense. But yeah, I don't know. I sometimes I feel like I'm way too picky when it comes to stories, and that it's a flaw, and I need to let things go, and I need to be more willing to just accept things for how they are. But other times I get angry that the potential of the medium is being squandered the way I see it. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. I do know that I should play God of War. Sorry, I should play GTA. I need to get on that. Oh yeah, that's your next question actually. Have you played all the GTA games and finished that campaigns? Which is your favorite? I've played the top-down GTA games, the first 2 on the original PlayStation, and I played a tiny bit of GTA 3 and a tiny bit of Vice City, and that's it. I haven't played any of the others. I have never had GTA 4 or 5 running in front of me ever. It just never has happened. It's just a series that I've never touched. Yeah, just not all that interested, even though I appreciate for what they are. One day I'll get to them, and I'll finally fill that gap in my gaming knowledge.
Have you played U4: The Lost Legacy?
No, I haven't.
When is the baby due? Boy or girl, or twins or triplets, or worse? Oh my.
Do you want to take this one?
It's only one, although I was so sure it was more than one, but it's only one, and it's due on June 19th. So it'll be sometime in June. It could be 2 weeks either way, right? So.
And is it a boy or girl?
Oh, we don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
Finding out in the next month. So beginning of February we should know. If it cooperates. If it doesn't want us to know and doesn't want to show the goods or the lack of goods, then we're not going to know.
Okay.
Who is your favorite superhero? That's all for this month. Please stream the Zero Escape games. I'm literally on my knees begging you. You already broke my heart twice by skipping Despair Girls and not completing the anime. Didn't you?
I did complete the anime, yeah.
A third heartbreak might finish me for good. If it's any encouragement, the first game is one of the easiest puzzle games ever made. You wouldn't struggle with it in the slightest. Hope you have an amazing 2019.
See, that just makes me more nervous to struggle, because if that's the reputation it has and I get stuck because I overthought part of it.
You're screwed.
Yeah, I'm screwed. Yeah, I don't know. I if I play them on my own, I will stream them afterwards so we can have that experience together. Sort of like what I think we might be able to do with Return of the Obra Dinn. But yeah, that's it for Zero Escape. My favorite superhero is it's either Batman or Iron Man. I like the superheroes that are actually human and have gotten to their super status in a in a skillful way, building up their expertise. You know, Iron Man can be kind of bullshit. You know, but I really like the thought of having like that iron, like the flying suit, and I think there's an amazing game that could be built out of that. Anthem might be interesting because of that, but we'll see. And Batman for the same reason, really. I'm not really big into superheroes, though. In terms of concept, just because of how it plays out in the story, I really like Dr. Manhattan. But that's I like that. That's not a superhero. You know what I mean? Like that's completely different. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but I'm not really that big into superheroes. I watch the Marvel movies more for the fight scenes. That's what I like about it. I don't think that Marvel movies have good stories. I don't think they're good. They're good movies outside of the visual kind of feast and sometimes some quirky dialogue. I'm sorry if that's a bad opinion, but yeah, that's how I feel about it. I feel kind of the same way about Star Wars movies. Yeah. I was never into comic books when I was a kid. Thank you, Taco Waveable, for the 14-month resub. My second 14-month sub with Prime this month. Is this how time works? Is this how time works? Is this what is known as time travel? Thank you, Taco Waveable. I don't know what's going on there, but hey, thank you. Hope you're having a good night. Will there be 2 15-month resubs? I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Let's take the next question, but I also want to ask chat, is this better than what I'm using? This corrupted arc gem? Val arc? Should I be using this instead of the arc that I have? So here's the arc that I have. It's level 9. And here's the one that's over here. So should I just put it on a slot and just level it up? It's cold damage as well as lightning. Okay, well it's on now. Okay. Okay, we have 1, 2, 3 more people left, and I don't see any long questions. Okay, so maybe we'll get this done. All right, go for it, Lilybell.
Poison D, I think.
Oh, this is the person that asked about The Witcher. Yeah, this is going to be quite short. Yeah, apologies ahead of time, Oizen D, but I'm not going to be able to give you a good answer to this one. But go ahead, Lily.
Hey Joseph, big fan of your videos on YouTube, but can't catch the streams. I signed on as a patron in 2017 after that video about The Witcher came out. Witcher 1, in my opinion, is shit. Witcher 2 was okay in terms of gameplay, but made me fall in love with the world, and Witcher 3 might be my favorite game of all time.
Wow. Okay, that's a big spectrum there between the 3 of them, huh? Okay.
So my questions are simply, how is the video progressing? Is it hard to stay motivated on a project for so long?
And the next one is, have you any rough ETA? Do you feel you are halfway, 3 quarters, 90%? All the best to you and the family in 2019. So I'm not giving any estimates at all about The Witcher, just in case you didn't watch the whole VOD and you just skipped ahead to your own question, which is what I think most people do. The reason why I'm not doing it is because I have really regretted it in the past when I say I'm this close to done or expected around this time or this is how far along I am. It sets expectations, and then I feel like I have to kill myself in order to meet those expectations, and it leads to me making some very, very unhealthy choices when it comes to working, and also causes me a lot of stress because I feel like I'm letting everybody down. So that's why I haven't made any promises about videos, I think for over a year, maybe over a year and a half. But even though I don't make promises, even giving out an estimate is enough that kind of feels like half a promise to me, and then I feel really bad. So even though I've had that promise policy for a while, it's still, yeah, it's still not enough, and I need to stay quiet on it. I can tell you, I can cheat though, and I can say that I had already played Witcher 1 before, and I can agree with you that it is quite the flawed game. I can tell you that. And I can also cheat again because I have played some of Witcher 2 before when it first came out, and then I had to stop because that was right around the time that my mom's aneurysm burst. That I thought that was much better, so I can cheat a little bit. How to stay motivated? It's very difficult, and like I said, I can have some very unhealthy decisions or unhealthy drive when it comes to finishing projects. And I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if it's even worth it some of the time. You know, to there are other channels that really set the standard by taking their time, and they put they devote large periods of the year toward very few more in-depth releases. And I do that on top of trying to have some videos in between. Not always successful with it, of course, but I try to do both. And I wonder sometimes if it would just be better if I just did the longer videos and that was it. Especially considering the response that some of these shorter videos have been getting. So I'm going to treat this period as an experiment, and we'll see. But after this, it might just be fewer longer releases, and that's it. That said, I do think that the ideal length of one of the videos that I make is an hour. I think that the hour-long videos, 60 to 80 minutes, are the ideal length for the videos. That's a lot of breathing room. I can go into a lot of topics. I can get into specifics and a lot of details. However, I can't ignore that it's the longer videos that tend to get the most views. Now, do they get the most views because people have to come back and watch them more than once to finish them, or 3 times or 4 times? I don't know. But to a lot of people, an hour is a long video, but yet the 3-hour, 2-hour long ones are the ones that tend to get the most attention, the most views, and make the most money. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. There's a lot of decisions that I'm making at the moment, and we'll see. But yeah, I stay motivated by just trying to finish the project as fast as I possibly can. And even though I said I wasn't going to crunch anymore, I am still crunching. I'm crunching a little less, but I think that might be because usually what I crunch the hardest is the video and audio parts of it. And the videos I've been making lately have been so short that I haven't had to crunch as hard as I previously have. Crunching out a 20-minute video is actually a very enjoyable experience because you can sit down, you can crunch it out, and it's done potentially in one epic long work session. Crunching out a 3-hour video is do I even need to say anything else? Like it's I just, yeah, like
From when you were a quarter of the way done or half the way done the short video, you're not even close to anywhere near even anything talking about it.
So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen in the future, but yeah, like I stay motivated by just getting it done as quickly as I possibly can. That's how I've done it so far. Yeah, I don't know. Stay motivated on the books, because the books are writing books are very big projects as well, and there's some parallels you can draw. They're not the same exactly. Like it's fun to do the videos because there are stages to it. It's not when you're writing a book. There's only 2 stages. There are 3 stages, but they're all writing. You know, you're planning, well, that's writing. You're writing the book, that's writing. You're editing, that's writing. They're all writing at the same every stage of the way. Whereas with a video, you're playing a game. Usually, it's different than the game you just played before. Then you're making notes. You're writing a script. You're editing the script. Now you're recording the script. Now you're editing the audio. Now you're making the video. Now you're uploading it. Now you're creating the comments. You're responding to it. There are a lot of stages, and they're all different. So it's enjoyable in that way. But with the books, when I was writing a lot of fiction, I had a much healthier outlook toward working. I was able to write. I had word deadlines every day. Usually anywhere between 1,000 to 6,000 words a day I would write. And very rarely would I hit 6,000 words, but that was my range that I would try to go for. On a very good day, 6,000 is when I would stop, and 1,000 is my bare minimum. I would write 1,000 words a day, and and that was my, like, I would do that, and if I got that done, then I was allowed to do whatever I wanted with the rest of my time. You know, this was before the kids. You know, and that was my work time, and that was like a much healthier outlook compared to the videos. And I don't know why it is that I can't do that for the videos. Maybe it's because of what happened with the books on Amazon when we lost that, because they changed the algorithm, which I'm still petrified of YouTube doing. YouTube just pulled some shit this week where they're doing an experiment with thumbnails, and without asking for permission or anything, they just are selecting random channels to just change your thumbnail to one that's auto-selected from the video itself that YouTube's algorithm will choose, because they want to see if it'll get more views that way. Like, what the fuck? What if your thumbnails are really, really important to the video?
I think too, though, that there's a bigger audience this time than there were with the books, and you engage with them a lot. Like, we used to get emails from readers and stuff, and oh, we're waiting, when's the next one coming out, and reviews, and it was really enticing to see the sales and everything like that. But it's like it on a much broader scale now than it was with the books, and you have a lot more comments and a lot more people waiting and asking when the videos are coming out. So I think you're a lot more likely to push yourself harder to get the stuff out faster than with the writing. There was interest with the writing, but there wasn't. If there was this much interest with the writing, you wouldn't be doing the channel right now.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Because I wouldn't have had to find something else to do. Yeah. Okay, I think that's all I can say about that. Sorry. And yeah, and again, I apologize that I can't speak about the Witcher project any more than I already have. But I just like that's my lesson. That's my my way of fighting it a little bit. So yeah, I can't do that at the moment. Sorry. Sorry if you're disappointed. Next person is Sage A.
Hi, Joe and Lily. Do you have much time for pleasure reading these days? What's your favorite classic novel?
Not really. I don't read nearly as much as I should, and I miss it. I've been trying to read a little bit more lately, and I think I read more books in 2018 than I did in 2017. So I've been trying to get into it. I haven't read as many classic novels as I should. I would say that my favorite is either Great Expectations or The Picture of Dorian Gray. Those are the two I'm going to go with. And just as a kind of wild card answer, I really didn't like Wuthering Heights. Did you like Wuthering Heights?
I read Wuthering Heights.
Didn't really like Wuthering Heights.
I have it, I think, but I haven't read it yet. I haven't read much of them. I read, different ones, and I have to reread them again now. It's been so many years since I've read them.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm forgetting now that. Can I really say that's my favorite? You know, because
Keep your eyes sharp.
it's not clear anymore in my memory.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from there. Yeah. Yeah. Great Expectations is by Charlie Dickens. If you don't know that, I think everyone does know that, but just to make sure. It's a book that I tried to read once before I read it all the way through. Charles Dickens, when you are a teenager and you are being forced to read it in school, just like Shakespeare, it's mostly dog shit. Not only are you kind of being coerced into doing something that you don't really want to do, it's difficult to properly understand what's even being said without enough life experience. But Shakespeare is always like that unless you study it. But Dickens is, at least when I read it a long time ago now, I think in my early 20s is when I tried a second time, and I just fell in love with how Dickens writes. Like it said in the second Matrix movie, it's like wiping your ass with silk. Like Dickens is just so smooth. It's dense at the same time, but it's like wow. Yeah, and I didn't really enjoy the overall story, but I just loved how it was told. And just I guess just Dickens's prose, man. That's what I enjoyed the most about that. Whereas The Picture of Dorian Gray was more about how it was told and the story itself. I really like the story. I really like the concept of this nobleman having a picture in his attic that is aging instead of him, and the decadence that he goes and spirals into. But there was also these scenes of just characters being really clever and witty, which is always just fun to get into, and it was really well done. I've spoken about Joyce before on streams. I'm not the biggest fan of Joyce, even though I do acknowledge how important he is and how influential the Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man is. But I don't think that's a book that I would ever be excited to read again. I probably will, just to refresh my memory of it, but it's not something that I'm like, fuck yeah, I get to read that again. It's just kind of, whereas I would probably be excited to read Great Expectations again. I don't usually read books a second time. But it depends, what's your definition of a classic? Because if Catch-22 is a classic, Catch-22 is my favorite book, so that would be my answer to that. And I guess it depends on how far back you go. Right now I'm reading The Haunting of Hill House book, which Lily started after me and finished before me. Yeah. What's your answer? Did you think of one?
I have like 5. I'm trying to I don't know. I used to say Great Expectations. I used to say The Catcher in the Rye, which I have to reread now because I'm actually struggling to remember what it's about, even though I remember all throughout high school saying that was my favorite of the classics.
Is that a classic?
I believe so.
I mean, it's worthy of a classic, but is it old enough to be a classic? How old is Catcher in the Rye?
It's usually on the lists of the classic books you should read.
Okay.
I love the story of The Great Gatsby, but I prefer the story to the way it's actually written. I feel like if someone were to rewrite it now, I'd probably enjoy that more than the way it's actually laid out. But I really love the story of that book. It's one of my favorites. But I'm thinking like favorite now, like not if I was picking something that I had read 15 years ago. If I had to pick right now,
Blessings.
I would probably go with either Dracula
Ooh.
or The Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. Those 2 books are really, really...
I have read neither
Especially
of those.
The Murder on the Orient Express. I really enjoyed the ending. So if you've read it, then you'll probably know what I mean, I hope. And if you haven't read it, you should read it. I really want to see the movie they just made because I heard it was good.
Catcher in the Rye published 1951. See, I think maybe they're kidding in chat, but I kind of half agree that you can't be a classic unless the book's 100 years old.
It's on all the lists, though. It's... It's on. It makes the lists of I bet you it's on the poster hanging on the wall downstairs.
Probably.
What about To Kill a Mockingbird? Isn't that a classic? And isn't that about as old? And what about like Animal Farm and Mice and Men and stuff? How old are those books?
Yeah, is
Lolita, how old are these books?
Is 1984 a classic? I don't know. 1984 is a really good book. So is Fahrenheit 451. Animal Farm is pretty good too. Yeah, haven't read Lolita. Is Tristram Shandy considered a classic? I think that's older than 100 years. That is such a hard book. Oh man. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Phantom Claus or Klaus, for the 15-month resub. Hey Joe, 1.5 stream babies. Did you find any new songs? Okay, I just got what he meant. Did you find any new songs you like from your tweet about everyone's favorite songs from 2018? Not really. I looked through some of it and nothing jumped out at me. I listened to some of them and nothing really got me. I don't know if that means that I'm just getting so old now that none of this new music appeals to me, or maybe I was just in a bad mood. But the first year that we did it, I found quite a good chunk of new music, and this year not really that much at all. I don't think there's a single song I can remember from it. There are some longer songs I want to check out because there's another channel named Shintai. And I think he just goes by Daniel now on Twitter. And he and I, despite having very different tastes in video games and the fact that he's a weeb and I'm not, actually, I shouldn't call him a weeb. He likes the anime. Let's put it that way. He likes the long cartoons. That we have very similar taste in music. He likes the long, epic kind of rock, kind of opera, dream theater sort of stuff, and I like that too. So I'd like to check out his recommendations, but I just haven't had time because the songs are so long. You know, it's that meme about the metal fan problems. Your commute to work is 15 minutes long, and that's not enough time for your favorite song. Yeah, so I'd like to check some of his stuff out that he suggested. I'm not a weeb, I swear. I'm not a weeb. Not a weeb. Thank you, Ralph Cost 100 bits. I got fired from the calendar factory just for taking a day off. So then I stole one, but then I got it wet, so I put a damper on my whole year. At least I thought so until they caught me. I got 12 months. Now the only way I'll get a calendar is if I win a lifetime supply, so I'll know when I die.
There are a few of them in there.
That was pretty good. That was pretty dense. Did you make up that whole thing by yourself? Because that was good. That was good. Well done. Well done. Thank you, Kimichi, for the 16-month resub. Is that the first 16-month resub?
No, I think I saw another one.
Did we see another one?
I did see another one earlier.
I can't remember where we're at now. Thank you very much, Kimichi. Evening, Joe and Lily. How goes the pathing and exiling and babying? Path of Exile's going okay. I'm just kind of mindlessly clicking as we're doing the Q&A. And the baby is,
We're making movement tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Well, you're not having the best of time, that's all. I feel bad for you.
Well, it's never really fun, is it? It's fun afterward when you think about it and you're like, oh, I miss being pregnant. And then you're pregnant and you're like, get the fuck out. But no, the baby moved tonight for sure. So that's exciting because now I'll know it's actually okay in there. Because, until it moves, you're like, is it still alive? Or, how would I know? And once you feel it moving, then you're like, okay, it's fine. I don't have to wait for every doctor's appointment for them to tell you that. So that's a good thing.
What's
But now
new
you have a new worry when you go long enough without feeling the
No,
baby
then
move.
you have to start, you poke yourself in the stomach, you drink orange juice, you bounce around, you try to coax it to
will be
move.
remembered.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
What do you need now?
Thank you, CJ, for the question. We put that on the screen, right? Yeah, we did. Okay. I think this is the last person.
Caleb?
Caleb R. Let's make sure it's on the screen. Yeah, it is. All right, we got it done. Unless we die or the stream goes down right now. Here we go.
Caleb R says, Aloha.
Aloha.
I hope your holidays went well and Happy New Year. 2 short questions for you. Joe, you walk into a room with Morgana, Rex, and Tora. You have a gun with 2 bullets. What do you do?
I shoot Tora twice. Actually, you know what? And I take that back. Because then I'd be in a room with Morgana and Rex, right? I shoot Tora, and then I shoot myself. Yep, that's what I do. Yep. But I'm taking Tora out with me. Alright.
I asked this last time around, but can you talk a little bit about other creators that you follow and or create content similar to yours? More specifically, who inspires you?
Are you the one who asked this last time? I remember this being asked, and my answer was a little awkward because the answer is nobody. Nobody inspires me. There's nobody that I look up to in that way. I can talk about some of the people that I follow, but it's not going to be an exhaustive list because I'm sure I'm going to forget somebody, and I'm going to feel bad. So there are people that I think that they do some cool things that I would like to do. I wouldn't call that inspiration though. So I really admire how funny Shammy and Mandalore are, but I'm not gonna try to be inspired by them and try to be funny, you know, because for one, I'm just not. I don't think I'm naturally a funny person in the same way that they are. I kind of just, I feel like I luck my way into some of the jokes that I have. I think that's fairly evident when we come to when we're talking about what happens on stream. It's even more evident in the videos because I can just flat out tell you that I never really plan for a joke. I just, if it comes along, I do it, and I have a rule about jokes too, which is that a joke can never interrupt what I think the video is trying to do unless it is just unbelievably funny. Like, it's really funny, and I just can't resist how good it is. And it's not necessarily funny in the way that everyone's gonna find it funny, but it's just I cannot let this opportunity go. So using Celine Dion in the Dark Souls 3 video, I couldn't pass that up. Once I had that idea in my head, I had to do it. So like that's an example of something where I'm just going out of my way and breaking my rule. I find them inspiring, and I find them admirable in that way, but that's not an inspiration. I'm not going to try and do that in any way. There are a lot of reasons not to, and also I just don't think it would work out. I recently watched the Death of the Author video by Lindsay Ellis, and I thought that was pretty good. I thought that maybe she could have gone more in depth with some more about, you know, the more controversial opinions on Death of the Author that she very heavily hinted that she would talk about, and that maybe she even agreed with, but instead it kind of turned into an ad for a book. I don't know, but I was really enjoying the presentation of that video when she had like the old style kind of informative old VHS type, you know. I don't know what era that's from, but I really like that. I was like, oh, okay, that's a really cool way of presenting your topic, and I like that creativity, and I wish I could do that, you know. I wish that that I could have that kind of flair in some of my videos, but then I started thinking about it. I'm like, do I though? Like, would that really add enough to it? Would it take away from it? Maybe. Do I want to sacrifice what could be a whole other video from the time that's gonna have to go in for me learning how to do this, or maybe this is something that I should contract out, you know, like there's options, like I don't know. But yeah, that's something that I can admire. Someone in chat just brought up Nakey Jakey right before I was going to. I very much admire Nakey Jakey. I've been watching his videos for a long time. He's actually a patron of me, and he's been so for quite a while, and I have no idea why. Like we're like way before he hit it big, and he is a huge YouTuber guy now. And there's something very genuine and wholesome about his content, and he takes on different kinds of topics that I really enjoy. He's kind of like the lawful good Shammy, where Shammy's chaotic evil. And I love Shammy, so I mean that as a compliment. Does that make sense? He's lawful good Shammy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I really like Nakey Jakey. But I don't, he doesn't inspire me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not inspired by anything that he does. And that's not a bad thing. I don't know. I feel like maybe that's just, maybe I'm not trying to grow as much as I should be as a creator, but I don't think that's true. I try to do something new in almost every single video, whether that's some more fancy video editing or trying something new with the script or recording. It's getting a little harder to do that now, especially with some of these videos that I'm trying to make quickly before The Witcher. I'm not being as creative as I usually am, but I do usually have some intent that I go through while I'm making the video. It doesn't always work out, and sometimes I have to scrap it, but you know, it's there. The attempt is there. I don't know. I feel like I'm just comfortable with where I am with making the videos, and I found my I found the way that I make them. It's more about refinement, making them sound better, making them look better. The biggest change that I would like to make in the videos right now is that I would like them to be in 4K. I don't know how I'm going to do that. That's another reason why I want to upgrade the computer. I don't know if I can even render in 4K with what I could build. Probably, but maybe not with every game. But I would like them to be at least 1440 if I couldn't do 4K. Just for future proofing them a little bit. Yeah. If you want to know about some other channels, I can tell you that Mandalore is the one that I enjoy the most at the moment, and Mandalore is probably the only content creator that when a video goes up, I will set aside time if I can to watch it immediately. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that with the latest 2 videos that he made. But that I was trying very hard before to make that happen, because I enjoy his tour-like videos through games. I made time when Shammy released his video, and that was probably the best video that I watched last year. But Shammy doesn't make a lot of content at the moment, so that's not something I can constantly set aside time for, because he works so hard on just that one video. And I think it was worth it. I don't know if he would agree or not, but I think it was worth it because it turned out so good. In the past, I really enjoyed Matthew Matosis' content and Mr. B-Tongue's content, but I haven't really enjoyed Matthew Matosis' latest content. I'm not really that interested in the Zachtronics videos, and I'm not really that interested in his commentary videos. But if he was to do more videos on like his older styles on games that I'm really more interested in, then I think I would definitely enjoy his content again. But he's doing his own thing at the moment, and that's fine. Like, he's seriously into Zachtronics games, and that's, I think admirable is the right word. Yeah, I think admirable is the right word. And Mr. B-Tongue just doesn't make enough content, so I can't really talk about much about him. Super Bunny Hop, I feel, is sort of in the same area as Matthew Matosis for me at the moment. I used to watch a lot of his content, and lately I feel like it's not there for me for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why I said it twice, but I just don't know why. It's just not doing it for me at the moment, but I'll try again at some time in the future. But mostly it's time. I don't really have time to watch a lot of YouTube right now. I like to watch more of Chris Davis's videos and White Lights, especially considering that the two of them are probably the closest to long form out of the smaller channels. There's obviously some other channels out there that are doing it too. I just don't know about them, but those are the two that I know that are smaller channels that are still making their mark on YouTube, that do the longer content. Racevic is fantastic, but last few videos have been on games that I either want to play myself or I'm not that interested in. But he's usually fantastic. SkillUp's content is pretty good too. I don't know. I'm gonna leave someone out and I'm gonna feel bad. But yeah, no one really inspires me. Maybe that's wrong, but yeah.
Those that face the smoke end up finding the fire. Cage is flame. Again.
Anymore. I should clarify on that. Anymore. Obviously, there were some that inspired me before. Yeah, for certain.
Not as dumb as you seem.
And I think that's obvious. I think that's it. I feel like I didn't answer that one well. I don't know. Leonardo da Vinci is pretty good. IMO, his voice is so soothing. Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci has one of the best videos on YouTube. His Hellblade video is absolutely fantastic. That's one of my favorites on YouTube. Yeah. Very, very, very good. See, I forgot it. I forgot about that, and I love that video. That's the danger here. It's why I didn't do one of those. A lot of people were doing their end of the year lists of like, hey, who's your favorite YouTuber this year? I didn't do one because I didn't want to leave someone out by accident, or there might be someone new that I just recently found out about, and I haven't been able to watch a lot of their content yet, and and they know that I'm watching their content, and I haven't put them on the list, and they might be offended, you know? Just change the export res to 1440. It doesn't affect render time at all, as long as the bitrate stays the same. Allow the high quality codec to be used on YouTube as well. I used to do that, and I didn't feel like it was making any difference. I used to do that, but I will. I actually want to render out at 1440 and actually have them in 1440. 4K is probably beyond me at the moment. I don't know. We'll see. Like it's for work, and
Too much clutter.
the money should go toward it to making the videos better, and that's something that can be at the risk of busting out the O word again, objectively better. So yeah, it should happen, but it's still a lot of money on one machine.
Keep your eyes sharp.
So
What
I'm
is it,
I'm
Exile?
stalling a little bit on it. Were there any questions in chat that were asked often and we missed them that anyone would like an answer to before we call it a day? Lord Chicken has subscribed for the first time with Prime Time. Lord Chicken 1010-1. Thank you very much, Lord Chicken. Welcome to the to Monkey Town. Thank you, Pepperdew, for the 13-month resub. Don't know if you covered this, but what has been your experience with YouTube's copyright system? Better than most. I do get copyright strikes fairly often, but they're usually resolved. The worst one has been Nintendo on the Breath of the Wild video. Most of the other bogus ones get resolved fairly quickly. There have been times where other YouTubers have claimed my content, and I've tweeted at them and been like, hey, what the hell, and then they just block me and then it goes away. Those are always fun, and there have been like bogus ones from companies that have just they take it away as soon as it's challenged, because they know that it's bogus, and they're just hoping that that you don't notice. And yeah, so that's it's been
What do
okay.
you need
I
now?
don't know how much money has been lost over that. Probably not that much. I don't really sweat it.
Go where you
It's
are
not that big of a deal. apart from the Breath of the Wild one. The Breath of the Wild one was really bad. Really, really bad. But, yeah, that was okay. Action Caterer has gifted a sub to Todd Howard. Welcome to the Rub-a-Dub Sub Club, Todd Howard. Thank you very much, Todd Howard. Ralph Howard used to say, Joe, I accidentally put my question for this month on last month's Q&A post. Will you still answer it? Let me go look. Hold on. What remains of Edith Finch is free on the Epic Store? Oh yeah, it is. Yep. If you haven't gotten that, you should try it out. It's really good. Do you do something to de-stress when you're not playing games or working? That doesn't usually happen. But when I do, I try to either spend time with the kids, actively doing something with them, or watching TV. I find watching TV is something that relaxes me more than anything else. So I sometimes I combine the two. I watch Paw Patrol with Finn. Yeah. So there's that. Is this it, Ralph Cogs? Hey Joe and Lily, will any stream memes ever make it into the games you one day plan to make? And do you find that sort of reference humor funny or lazy? All the best for Trinity. Is it that one? Paw Patrol, go. That's it? Okay. Ralph Clogs. There you go. Your name is on screen. Alright, so should we read it out again so it's there?
If you want to.
I'll
You can read it. It's a little bit far away and it's very small font.
Okay, stream memes might make it into the games, maybe. I don't know. The games are so far away and so in theory that I don't even know if I could answer. But it'd be kind of funny if there was like some secret in a game, and if you go and hit a button in the right place, then you hear me say Leon, you know, like some stupid thing like that, like an Easter egg. But actual straight up memes being like part of the dialogue or anything like that, I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't know, but like again, they're so far away in theory that who knows, right? But maybe like if there's a way to subtly do it, and only people who understand the streams or the YouTube videos will know, then that might be irresistible. But yeah, I'm okay with reference humor. That was the other part of your question. I'm okay with it, but I'm not the biggest fan of reference humor. I think that in terms of the styles of humor that exist, that it's a bit lazy, and you know, it's reference humor is basically, do you get the reference? And there's sometimes that I do reference humor, again, because it is so easy, and you can just kind of fire and forget and just hope that most people know it. But it's not my favorite. I prefer, it's the same with is it intertextuality? I think it might be intertextuality. Making a lot of references for dramatic reasons to other books, or this story is reflective of, you know, Homer's Odyssey and all this other shit. You know, it's like, you know, why don't you make your own story? You know, this adds very little for me. Even when I've read the text that you're reflecting or you're heavily influenced by, it doesn't add very much to me. It's like, oh, okay, cool. You're just basically flexing that you read this thing, you know? I vastly prefer it when something tries to be wholly original than do that sort of thing. Of course, there are exceptions, but I'm not really that big of a fan of referential writing in general, I think. Yeah, I don't think so. But hey, if you know the reference, and I find it's probably better if it's obscure when it comes to humor. If you know the reference and it hits you so hard because it is so specific, I think then it can probably work. But then that's going to be difficult to pull off. Like maybe the best of both worlds is that you do it in a way where you don't even realize it's meant to be a joke or a reference unless you know it. I don't know. ideally that's how it would work for dramatic references as well. But in my experience, a lot of stories that heavily reference old classics and old mythology and these tales that have fundamentally shaped the way that we form our stories, usually that's a big part of the supposed depth to them. But yeah, I don't know. Just make your own thing. Is why my opinions on copyright are so unpopular, and we've never spoken about that before. Maybe now's not the time, but I can briefly touch on it. I half agree that, you know, that having things be under copyright long after the original creator is dead is somewhat ridiculous. But at the same time, I feel like, fuck you, make your own story, make your own characters. Like, as much as I hate to defend goddamn Disney of all huge fucking conglomerate companies, like Mickey Mouse is still Disney, man. Like, what the fuck you mean it's gonna be, and it's not gonna be their copyright anymore? Like, what? Like, that doesn't seem right to me at all. And then I wonder if I've been conditioned somehow by some weird subliminal marketing campaign to make me feel that way. But like, I have my own characters in my own universe, and the thought of someone, you know, I think copyright law used to be what, like 50 years, something like that. Like 50 years from now, I might still be alive, and suddenly I don't own my own characters, and someone can write with my own character. I don't know if anyone would want to. Probably absolutely not. But at the same time, the fuck you, get your own characters, make your own shit. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely off base here. But after the original creator and the entity that the creator made is no longer using it, has been gone for a while, then yeah, I think that it should be open. Yeah.
A king of swords is nothing if he cannot defend his crown.
Okay, so last call time for sure. Were there any questions that were asked in chat? A bunch that we missed. And thank you, Rockbugs.
And thank you to Normie2, who resubscribed with Prime for 14 months and is watching part 1 of the Q&A right now. Gamer Senpai, thanks for all the streams and videos.
Gamer Senpai. Thank you very much, Normie2. Thank you.
Do you like Octavarium?
I don't think I've played it, sorry. I think I know what that is. I think so, but I haven't played it.
While I almost always agree with your thoughts on games difficulty, for example, your take how Bloodborne is too difficult for beginners and too easy for people familiar with Souls franchise, after watching a lot of streamers, my friends, roommate, etc. play video games, I'm always shocked how little people understand how game works, even after days of playing, and sympathize with devs for making so approachable games. So I'm asking, do you ever have same thoughts when you're talking about a game?
Hold on, let me read that again. Do you mean how little people sympathize with devs for making their game so approachable? Or do I ever... Well, okay, your question is basically about how accessible a game should be and how difficult it should be. Accessibility through difficulty. I think that most games should be difficult, but difficulty is very hard to get right, and difficulty doesn't always mean crushing. That boss I just did in that room was difficult, and the reason why it was difficult is because I couldn't just stand in one place and hold down the right mouse button. It wasn't taxing, but just the fact that I had to move a little bit made it difficult. It didn't make it very difficult, but it was at least a little difficult, and I think that's the problem. There's a line in a script I wrote that for a video that I hope I can make, that the concept of difficulty has evolved in a mutated way, like a Pokemon that you wish you would hit B on while it was evolving. It used to be that, hey, it's challenging in any way at all, and now it means fucking Dark Souls, you know? And partly that's the reason that the problem caused by people who love fucking Dark Souls and want games to be more like that. Difficulty can just mean it's a little taxing. A jump that you have to time just a little bit in Mario is difficult. That's testing you just a little bit, and I think all games need to be like that to be considered games. But that statement isn't really all that refined just yet, and I don't really want to get too into it. Sorry. As you can probably tell, it's not a fully finished thesis yet to bust out the T word. I think that most people don't understand how taxing it is to get the difficulty right in a video game, and that there's always this clash of how tutorialized should they be. Should those tutorials just spell it out to you completely, or should they just kind of nudge you into getting it? There have been times where a tutorial has failed me, and I've played games since I was like 4 or 5 years old. There was one on stream where I didn't understand the tutorial on Celeste, and that was like an amazing game for me, and it still completely failed to communicate to me how it worked. So it's very difficult to get right. Very difficult to get right. I think that games should utilize more difficulty options to make things the right difficulty for everybody. And this idea that games that don't have difficulty options are somehow more elegant, especially considering that Dark Souls is usually the go-to example of how this works. You know, it doesn't have a difficulty slider. You get to choose whatever, you know, you fight through it, and you make decisions along the way. Like, that game does have a difficulty slider. It's just baked into kindling your bonfire and using summons. You know, it's right there. It's just a more organic way of doing it. Yeah, I think that more games should have options. UI blindness is a serious condition. It's definitely a serious condition. What platform takes the least % in terms of donations? Patreon? I think Patreon. Yeah, I think Patreon. But if you're asking that because you're curious, Patreon, yeah. If you're asking that because you want to donate something, I always say choose the platform that you want to donate on. If you prefer having the chat icon on Twitch and you don't have to watch ads anymore, and you like the emotes here, then go for that. You know, if you prefer the Patreon awards, then go for that. You know, and thank you for the consideration. Hey Joe and Lily, just wanted to stop by and say hi. Sorry for not having the Prime sub. Didn't realize the student trial only let me sub for 3 days, so in a few months you'll get the sub back for me. Have a good night, guys. Thanks, Hellfire. Thanks for stopping by.
It's good seeing you.
What game is Leon from? Someone above has activated counter surfer. So it's not just something Anderson has been up on the spot. It's from Danganronpa. Danganronpa 1. And then it turned into Danganronpa 2 and 3. Are there any plans for any videos on the Monster Hunter series? I like how the combat is quite similar to Dark Souls and just a more fast-paced. I think they're good games, but they have some flaws, and would like to know your opinion. I only play Monster Hunter a little bit, and I think I would like to play a lot of games in the series to fully understand how it worked. Chat was obnoxious while I was playing Monster Hunter World, so we ended up stopping. Not the best time, but I would like to give the games another chance and see for sure. But I can't promise a video. I have no idea. But that is a game that I should love. So I definitely want to give it another shot, because on paper that should be one of my favorite games. Have you watched Barry Kramer? I think I have watched one video from him. And again, everything's sort of derivative, but it really felt like I was watching Aaron. Maybe he's pulled away from that now on his later videos. I don't know, but the one that I watched, I was like, holy shit, this is Egoraptor. Like, it was really off in that way. Not in a completely bad way. It was just like wow. I hope I'm thinking of the right guy. I think I am. But it was like, wow, this is just Aaron. So yeah. One of my favorite games of all time. My favorite game of all time is Chrono Trigger on Tuesdays and Final Fantasy VI on Thursdays. Dark Souls, Fury, Enter the Gungeon, Soma, Dungeon Keeper, I'm trying to think. I'm sorry. Like I don't really have a list. Someone asked on Patreon a long time ago, and I limited it to one of each series, and I just kind of spitballed out some of the games that I enjoyed a lot. Galaxy 2, Yoshi's Island, Mega Man X, probably the second one, but I'm not sure. I can't really remember them all that well. I have to replay them again. There's a list somewhere.
Hollow Knight and Souls?
Hollow Knight and Souls, yeah, but then my favorite games are going to turn into like this 50 long list, which maybe is okay. I really like Danganronpa. I don't know which one. Probably the second one is the best. Yeah, there's a lot of games that I enjoy. Making a list of the top 10 would be very difficult. Baldur's Gate 2, Baldur's Gate Torment, World of Warcraft, probably Majora's Mask. Are there any YouTube series or creators you watch besides video game essay peeps? Sometimes I watch CP Gray. Is it CP Gray? I think it is CP Gray. Lately, I've been kind of trawling around YouTube for some podcasts to listen to while I'm doing some video editing that doesn't require audio to be on, and I haven't had much success with that just yet. There are some, but I can't really think of them at the moment. I was really into Primitive Technology, but I haven't checked his channel in a while. I don't know if he's even made some big videos lately. CGP Gray, that's it. Sorry. CPG Gray. Sorry, that's him. I like Mike from Vsauce. He's pretty good. Can I read my Christmas poem out loud? I don't think I can right now, but maybe next time we'll do it. I think we're gonna probably end it here because it's past 2 in the morning. You okay?
Mm-hmm. I was thinking of the Canadian guy who eats the food. He's my favorite. I don't know his name.
Okay, guys, here's the scoop. That guy.
I don't watch anything on like, you know, YouTube. It's not like music or, you know, a history documentary, whatever. But I think he's hysterical.
Hold on, let me see if I can find him if he's on my list.
He goes into restaurants and starts fast food in restaurants, and he like stealthily like tries things that are supposed to be like the worst reputed food. Him.
Philip Solo TV. Yeah, he's pretty funny. Yeah. Eating at the worst reviewed restaurant in my city. Yeah, I'd watch that one if you want to find him. Yeah, Philip Solo TV.
Can you close that for a second so I can read Super Pinky? I want to say I really like all your content. I think you always bring up some excellent points about a variety of games, and while some people may call that negative or nitpicky, sometimes that's all you need to hear to have a more critical view on things. Thanks for that. On another topic, what do you think of Nier, Original and Automata, and Yoko Taro in general? Sorry if you've already talked about it and I missed it.
We've talked about it sometimes, and thank you for the message. We've talked about it a couple times in the past, Automata, and not really Yoko Taro in general because I don't really know him that well, and I haven't played the original Nier, so I only know Automata. Some people think I hate Automata, and I was judged fairly harshly, and somewhat rightly so, for not paying attention to it very well when I played it on stream. In my defense, and I do think this is a good defense, as good a defense as the criticism is, which is, again, legitimate, that was the first big story game that I played on stream, and streaming is a skill. It is, if you've never streamed before, maybe you want to try it one day just to see with I don't know how you would simulate chat to know. Maybe try playing a game while reading a book that's on another screen, and not a game like Path of Exile, like an actual game that requires your attention, that has its own story. It's a skill, and it's very difficult. And I don't mean there's levels of difficulty, and of course it's not as taxing as some physical labor jobs. Like that's its own thing. Like, please don't think I'm complaining about something that is cushy as being a streamer. It's just that it is very difficult to learn, and it is a skill. And I was not. I'm arguably still not good at it. Maybe even inarguably not good at it. But back then I was even worse. And yeah, that was difficult to do. But I really like that game, and I don't know why people think that I don't. Like, I was fairly critical of it, and I was asking, you know, some questions about the story that I didn't fully understand, and I still don't know if it is explained properly or not. But I really enjoyed that game, and I don't know where this idea has come from that I didn't. And we're still talking, even though we said we're gonna be done.
One last question: is this gonna be our last Q&A like this? Maybe.
Yeah, it might be. This might be the last one. We'll see if we can do at least one more. But
If we can do it, we'll do it. But I don't know for how much longer we're gonna be able to do it. Like, they're gonna be moving to beds, and they're awful sleepers. And then the baby will be here in June, definitely by July, and it's gonna be screaming and crying every 2 hours or less, you know. So I don't even know how Joe's gonna stream, to be honest, when the baby gets here those first few months, because you're just gonna hear screaming all the time. You already hear screaming with Finn and Leo. You're gonna hear a lot more
What
screaming
do you need now?
because babies cry
You will be
when they're
remembered.
tired and when they're hungry, and sometimes they just cry. So,
and we're gonna be crying too.
and yeah, there's gonna be very little sleeping going on here. So
That would just make life
I
complicated.
don't know how it's gonna work. So yeah, we might have to quit while we're ahead on that one. But I did enjoy doing them. I really enjoyed the Q&As. I'm sad that I have to stop doing them, because if I don't stop doing them, you know, this month or next month, it's going to be in the next few months anyway. But I've enjoyed my time with all of you. Thank you for your questions and your interest and your acceptance and everything of me. Not everybody would have supported the wife, you know, being on stream and stuff like that, and you always you welcomed me right from the very first streams, so that was really nice.
That's true. They did
Yeah,
take
the
two.
chat's been really,
quite a while,
really
yeah.
great.
That's rare. Yeah.
I'll see you on Twitter and on Discord. And if I can stop in sometime, I will, but, you know.
No love.
It's very hard for me to just interrupt a stream when I have Finn, because Finn doesn't want to leave, and Leo won't sit still, so...
See, we might still be able to do it, and if they do go away, then they can come back later, right? If
Maybe when the baby's older, right? Maybe
When-
once the baby's like 6 months. You started streaming when Leo was 6 months old. And I remember the first few streams, he would wake up, remember, for feeding, and I'd be feeding him while you were streaming.
Mhm.
So it's possible, right? Like maybe end of the year or next year, whatever. But we'll see. We don't know, right? We'll see how it goes. But I've enjoyed all of you, so if I don't see you again, thank you for that.
you're done. See you guys later. The prompt for the next Q&A should be up in a few days, but like we just said, it might be one that's recorded separately, but we'll see. See you guys later.
Good night.